3 days before the big engagement party, his childhood sweetheart and fiancé completely ignored his protests. She was dead set on flying to Shanghai to play hero for her guy best friend, who pulled a totally dramatic stunt by doing something extreme to himself for attention, but the ultimate plot twist she didn't see coming. Now watch this. By the time she waltzed back 3 days later, her fiancé had already jumped ship. At that exact moment, our girl Lucy was chilling in a VIP hospital ward in Shanghai. She practically ordered her assistant to spam our guy's phone. Only a lonely, busy signal echoed in the empty hallway. The call automatically dropped after the classic message, "The number you dialed is busy." She frowned, visibly annoyed by this. Assistant Lily could see it. Clear as day, a faint grayish-blue exhaustion lingered right in Lucy's eyes. From the exact moment Ethan got into trouble until now, they hadn't rested for a single second. Even Assistant Lily, who was basically married to overtime, felt her eyelids drying out like the Sahara. Her mind was spinning, not to mention CEO Lucy's. Assistant Lily hesitantly tried to offer some comfort. "Why don't you go get some rest? I will keep trying to contact Mr. Mason. He has a solid temper. Anyway, when we get back, CEO Lucy, you can pick out a nice gift and that should smooth things over." "No," Lucy snapped, glaring at her phone. Aside from some random push notifications, there were zero texts or calls from our guy. His last call was right before she boarded her flight. They had previously agreed to go pick out an engagement dress together that day. He had been hyping it up since the night before. The boutique even sent her the outfit she was supposed to wear just to ask for her opinion. He called her right as she was about to board the plane, but her mind was totally consumed by Ethan, so she straight up ignored the call. And then absolute crickets. Not a peep from him since. This was a massive first. It had been way too long since he last contacted her. He was supposed to be jealous. He was supposed to be whining about her ditching him. Did he miss the engagement party he had been looking forward to for ages? She figured she needed to explain why his childhood friend, Chloe, acted the way she did yesterday, or that total humiliation at the Miller family house. But there was absolutely nothing. Lucy suddenly felt an inexplicable wave of pure panic. Her fingertips hovered hesitantly over his contact name for a really long time. She debated whether or not to press the call button, finally realizing she was starting to actually regret her choices. But Ethan had saved her life. She couldn't just stand by and do absolutely nothing. After all, a human life was on the line. Surely he would understand, right? This dynamic had been going on for years anyway. He never really fought with Ethan over anything anyway, right? Lucy was practically zoning out. Assistant Lily slowly scrolled through the notes on her phone. The main estate says Madame Lancaster wants to go on a trip abroad, taking the entire family, so they probably will not be attending the engagement party. Assistant Lily's voice trailed off into a quiet whisper. Lucy's face instantly darkened to a terrifying shade. Assistant Lily stealthily observed her expression. Her voice was quiet as a buzzing mosquito when she mentioned that the call came from the old butler. He didn't say it outright, but he was literally the trusted confidant and mouthpiece of the Lancaster family's patriarch since forever. He made the call, which basically meant Grandpa Lancaster fully approved this little stunt. A total snub, because at the end of the day, Lucy was an illegitimate daughter. Over the years, with the powerful Miller family backing her up, Lucy had somehow secured her position against all the other Lancaster heirs, naturally her becoming the official Lancaster successor. That made Madame Lancaster absolutely furious. She was grinding her teeth to dust. A trip abroad, please, just a cheap, thinly veiled excuse to humiliate the Millers. They strictly wanted to cause massive drama. Between Lucy and Mason, Assistant Lily let out a heavy sigh. On the day of the engagement, the bride's family completely refuses to show up. You and I wouldn't find a more insulting scenario in all of Beijing. Lucy stayed completely silent for a long time. Then a cold voice echoed from right behind her. Change the flight. I will. Do whatever it takes to get back for that engagement. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Beijing, the impromptu marriage partner Mason had dug up, Sophia Smith, had just returned to her family's massive Maine estate. Grandpa Smith was chilling out by the pavilion right in the middle of the lake. Grandma Smith was lounging on a long chair, totally absorbed in a book. Hearing footsteps, she slowly lowered the antique magnifying glass she was holding. She looked up, instantly recognized Sophia, and then peeked right behind her. Her silver hair shimmered in the bright sunlight as she realized Assistant Xavier was missing. Sophia shot her grandma a very knowing glance. In recent years, wild rumors about Sophia exclusively preferring women had essentially spread like wildfire. Even the elite Smith family basically just accepted it. Among them, Grandma Smith, a massive romance novel fan, had already mentally designated Assistant Xavier as her absolute dream granddaughter-in-law. The scorching heat was awful, but Grandpa Smith stayed perfectly relaxed and kept reading. Who are you doing this for if your precious Assistant Xavier decides to suddenly stop working for you someday? What then? You will be crying, he joked. Sophia just glanced over at them. The handwritten title of Grandma Smith's book was extremely eye-catching: The Secretary's Path Against Oppression. Having such a wildly trendy Grandma gave Sophia a massive headache. Grandma, she is literally just my assistant, and she actually has a boyfriend. Maybe read fewer trashy romance novels. When Grandma Smith heard that Assistant Xavier had a boyfriend, man, she was absolutely devastated. She looked like the entire sky had fallen. Assistant Xavier spends all day with you and still snagged a boyfriend. Seriously, when will you bring a partner home for me, even if it is a woman? The Smith family is totally ready to accept it. No need to look. I skipped the dating phase and went straight to getting engaged. Sophia dropped the absolute bomb. I only came back today to give the family a heads up. Grandpa Smith leaped off his lounger so fast he totally missed his book hitting the floor. Engaged to who? Can you even get a legal marriage certificate for two women in China right now? If not Assistant Xavier, could it be Penny? Penny is the sole heir of the prestigious Pei family here in Beijing. They guard her like the absolute apple of their eye. Would they actually let her marry into the Smith family? Grandpa Smith was sweating bullets while Sophia fought the massive urge to facepalm. It is a guy, the youngest son of the Miller family, Mason. We are getting engaged in exactly 3 days. When Grandma Smith heard it was actually a man, her first instinct was pinching Sophia to see if stick with me here. Was she dreaming? Grandpa Smith calmly stands up. Not a dream. Our girl hasn't even had a single male mosquito buzzing around her. And boom, a giant grandson-in-law drops right out of the sky. An actual grandson-in-law. But wait, when is this happening? Isn't 3 days way too fast? Should they delay it? The dowry isn't even close to being ready yet. Thinking about that dowry, Grandma Smith suddenly gets hit with pure panic. No way, she needs to check the warehouse herself. She finally bagged a grandson-in-law after all. They absolutely cannot look cheap. Sophia just watched her grandma sprint out of the pavilion like an Olympic sprinter, and in less than half a day, literally the entire Smith family found out Sophia was getting engaged. The usually swamped executives dropped absolutely everything, every single family member packed into the main living room. This turnout was bigger than Lunar New Year. Uncle Smith strokes his chin. The Miller family in 3 days, the son of that massive real estate tycoon. Her fourth uncle happened to be in charge of real estate, so guessing his identity this fast wasn't surprising at all. Sophia just nods and Uncle Smith literally gasps. Hold up, isn't the Miller heir arranged to marry the Lancaster family girl? Wait, did she just steal her fiancé? The Smiths definitely aren't scared of the Lancasters, but stealing a guy right before his wedding, isn't that wildly unethical? Grandma Smith was busy checking the gift list, but her ears perk right up. She glares absolute daggers at her fourth son. What total nonsense. Is Sophia a bully? She Could literally kidnap a random guy and it would be perfectly fine. Uncle Smith, a terrifyingly ruthless business titan, instantly withered right under his own mother's deadly glare. He then looks at his niece with a super apologetic expression, too terrified to speak, while Sophia casually picks up a lychee from the platter. Now you might be thinking this is stealing, but she is just putting in the effort, exactly, making an effort. Finally, a guy actually wants to take our precious girl. Grandma Smith offered her totally unconditional support. She snaps that massive gift list shut and points right at her kids. I didn't call you here to gossip. Time is ticking. We absolutely cannot be cheap here. Find out what is missing and add it immediately. As the matriarch gave the order, maids instantly handed out document copies to everyone. They studied these lists harder than signing $1,000,000 corporate contracts. Why are there 0 overseas properties here? You have a huge vineyard in District F. It's the perfect honeymoon spot for them. You just bought some antique jewelry sets. Add those in, plus this sports car model comes in 5 colors. If you do not have them all yet, go buy the rest. The Smiths owned a ridiculously huge number of global businesses. Basically, everyone ran their own massive corporate empires, so the suggested gifts were just their own insane luxury perks. After just one round of ideas, Grandma Smith checked the list. It was now half an inch thicker. She nods with absolute satisfaction. As the crazy meeting ends, the family slowly filters out. Sophia stayed behind while her grandma just eyed her suspiciously. Sophia smiles sheepishly. Grandma, I sort of told Mason you were dying, so the pressure to marry was super real. We love it. This is urgent. We can't miss this. You little brat, using your own grandmother as bait. Seeing a playful smack incoming, Sophia quickly took 2 steps back. Just pretend you know, she yelled out loudly right before sprinting away. Now, the night before the big engagement, Mason's best friend Wyatt Ting finally landed from Paris just in time. On the drive back, he heard all about Lucy and the Lancaster family drama. He honestly couldn't help but grumble every time he looked at Mason. Lucy, that toxic woman, how dare she ditch him at his own engagement party? Wyatt had warned him that Ice Queen Lucy had 0 personality, but Mason wouldn't listen. Why must he completely ruin himself over one specific girl? And that Ethan guy, Wyatt didn't even want to discuss him. That mess happened way back in college. A car almost hit Lucy on campus, and Ethan simply shoved her away. She barely got a scratch. How dare he parade around acting like her ultimate lifesaver, faking suicide by hurting himself in such a reckless way. Please. Wyatt Ting sees right through that manipulative moral kidnapping garbage. Mason and Lucy grew up together. This guy suddenly jumps into the game and starts acting like a manufactured victim. Seriously, the sheer distance between Beijing and Shanghai is massive. Honestly, by the time Lucy arrives, that absolute loser would probably already be dead cold. Wyatt was getting angrier by the second, rolling his eyes so hard they almost got stuck. Over the years, Ethan's car, house, and even his little brother's job were all handed to him by Lucy. Even with sad puppy eyes, there has to be a limit to how much you repay someone. Wyatt patted Mason's shoulder. Bro, women don't hold all the power in this world. If she's being totally heartless, don't blame yourself for being harsh. If he trusted him, cancel the engagement. Wyatt would introduce someone way better. He just couldn't stand that bastard Ethan. Oh, so now you suddenly have a vacancy, Mason quipped. Mason poured a glass of water and handed it over, getting mad at Lucy. And Ethan isn't worth it, Mason said, though Wyatt's anger totally hadn't subsided. Still, he grabbed the glass and chugged it. Now get this, guess who Wyatt bumped into at the airport on his way back? Lucy's parents and the entire Lancaster family. The twin sisters went on a luxury trip abroad together. Forget a massive marriage between 2 major families. Even normal folks know basic manners. There is absolutely 0 excuse for the entire bride's family to completely skip the event. They just thought Mason was a pushover. They were intentionally bullying him, if Mason could. Swallow this insult. His dynamic with Lucy was officially set in stone. Wyatt would never say another word. Mason sighed. He knew Lucy had zero sense of boundaries. Arrogance and conceit make a terrible combo. Mason replied completely calmly. He knew the Lancaster family was using illness as a fake excuse for a lavish overseas vacation. They were bullying him and his brother simply because their parents were gone. It was just the two brothers struggling to keep the Miller family business afloat. Mason looked up, staring intently at Wyatt. Listen closely. That was exactly why he wanted this engagement. Even more, he was just going to swap out the bride. That was literally it. If they simply canceled the engagement, the Lancaster family might catch some flack. But Mason and his brother would become huge targets for brutal gossip and criticism. The Miller family was going through a highly turbulent time right now. He didn't even know how many greedy shareholders there were, actively trying to find new ways to take down his brother. He absolutely couldn't burden the Miller family, so our guy found someone with a background completely crushing Lucy's. For Mason, this was the ultimate power move, and if this puts the Lancaster family in a totally awkward spot, honestly, he couldn't care less. Meanwhile, Wyatt over there was utterly dumbfounded. Wait, you and I heard that right. A sudden swap. So the girl he's getting engaged to tomorrow isn't Lucy. It's Sophia Smith receiving those official engagement gifts. The families had actually met. Wyatt was shook to his absolute core. Was Mason seriously choosing the Sophia Smith, the one who wrecked Lucy's entire youth? Yep, the very woman Lucy still bitterly resented to this very day. What kind of wild revenge plot was this anyway? Wyatt couldn't even imagine Lucy's face when she finally discovered the harsh truth. Her reaction was going to be absolutely glorious. Honestly, in all his life, he never thought he'd watch Mason kick Lucy to the curb. This trip was definitely worth it. Fast forward to the engagement day. Inside the Maybach cabin, Mason sat right in the back seat, watching the city scenery blur past the window. He was visibly nervous, dreading meeting Sophia's powerful family. Later, he clutched his phone tightly. Then a sudden buzz vibrated. He tapped the screen. Boom. A photo popped up showing a hospital VIP area, featuring a woman in a white shirt, back turned to the camera. She was handing hot porridge to a patient. Her jacket hung casually over the sofa. The whole scene just screamed a lazy, intimate vibe, even without seeing her face directly. Mason recognized Lucy in a single heartbeat, even though he had already decided to completely sever those ties. Seeing this picture definitely made his heart skip beat, a toxic mix of pain and pure numbness. Wyatt, sitting right nearby, clearly noticed the sudden shift in Mason's mood. He leaned over, peeking at the phone. What the rest of his furious sentence vanished instantly, exploding into a massive fiery rant. Why won't these two shameless idiots just drop completely dead? Honestly, Wyatt looked ready to snatch that phone right away and screenshot the literal trash. But wait, the message vanished with lightning speed, followed by a new text. Sorry, Mr. Mason, sent to the wrong person. Wyatt gripped his phone hard. His expression went pitch dark, practically dripping with absolute fury. He gritted his teeth, spitting out a deeply resentful curse. 8 a.m. He just started work and these manipulative, two-faced players were already testing him. We've all been there. But Mason, he suppressed those bitter emotions surging up inside, calmly raising one hand to help Wyatt catch his breath. Why get so mad? Ethan wants Lucy, so just give her to him. Mason casually took his phone back. It's totally fine. He sent a message and blocked them right there. Meanwhile, in a remote hospital room in Shanghai, Ethan leaned heavy against the wall. He stared blankly at the very message he'd just received. His own instincts were screaming at him. This time, something had fundamentally completely shifted. Assistant Lily walked right in, looking straight at the patient with a totally deadpan face. Mr. Ethan, CEO Lucy is flying back to Beijing today. Take good care of yourself. Your tasks have already been reassigned. To somebody else, that cold voice jolted Ethan straight back to reality. He bit his lip. So hard, CEO Lucy was actually leaving, even after he literally cut his own wrists. Was all of that still not enough to keep her here? Ethan clutched his chest. All right, let's watch. He clenched his jaw. Could he follow CEO Lucy? She was absolutely the best ticket to the top, and he flat out refused to let this golden opportunity slip. Assistant Lily just scowled. She purposely booked Ethan's business trip to Shanghai way in advance. Why? To completely stop him from crashing CEO Lucy's upcoming engagement party. But look at this guy. Despite all her careful planning, he actually dragged the boss all the way out here. Giving a stiff nod, she swallowed her intense anger. Fine, pack your bags, I will book the flights. Ethan watched her walk away, his fists shaking with rage. That assistant Lily was seriously getting on his nerves. No matter how he sucked up, she stayed completely ice cold. But wait, once he finally secured his spot as Lucy's husband, that annoying assistant was getting fired immediately. Back in Beijing, Lucy's team landed safely. They jumped right into KH Lo's waiting car and sped away from the busy airport toward the boutique. KH Lo gripped the steering wheel, totally unable to hold back her rant. Sister Lucy, the Miller family crossed a massive line this time. I can let it slide that they completely humiliated me at their estate last month. Since you and Mason are officially engaged, you guys are basically family. But they straight up ignored me for the invites. She vividly remembered visiting the Miller mansion with the guest list, only to get completely frozen out. The pure anger hit her all over again. Ever since she started working for the Lancaster family, nobody had ever disrespected her like this. Mason's parents were gone, and Sister Lucy actually worried his side of the family might struggle to handle the big event, so she purposely sent KH Lo over to help out with today's party. KH Lo had totally planned to teach those snobs a lesson by skipping the whole thing. The punchline, the Miller family actually didn't even bother inviting her anyway. KH Lo was absolutely furious, purposely rushing to the airport to grab Lucy just to file a massive, dramatic complaint against those snobs before the party even kicked off. KH Lo spilled the drama like you wouldn't believe, but her boss, sitting back there in the seat, had absolutely zero reaction. KH Lo sneaked a peek through the rearview mirror. Lucy had her eyes glued shut, resting heavily against the leather seat. There were dark shadows right under her eyes, and even while resting, her brows were totally scrunched up. Honestly, anyone could tell her mood was absolute garbage right now. KH Lo instinctively shot a desperate, questioning look over at assistant Sam beside her. Sam just silently mouthed one single name, Mason. KH Lo's face instantly lit up with total understanding. Mason and Sister Lucy had to be fighting again. For years they had clashed constantly over that guy Ethan, but KH Lo didn't really care too much. 3 days max, that was the rule. Mason would always surrender and come crawling right back to Lucy. She opened her mouth to comfort her, but the boss in the back seat suddenly broke the silence. Has Mason called you these past few days? Nope. You know, we haven't exactly been friends since we were kids, KH Lo replied. Lucy's face stayed totally blank as she gave a quick nod. The car slowly pulled up to the boutique. Lucy checked her watch, then glanced out toward the glass storefront right up ahead. There weren't many cars parked around, but she instantly locked onto a sleek black Bentley. The plate 06601, extremely familiar. KH Lo, who was driving along, someone chimes in. Wait, isn't that Sophia Smith? Everyone here should be here for the engagement party, but Sophia and the Miller family don't have any connections. They know the Lancaster family even less. Seriously, what is she doing here? Wait, she is linking arms with a guy. Chloe rubs her eyes, doesn't she? Like women, Lucy locks her gaze on those two figures in the distance. Sophia was tall, completely blocking the guy beside her. You literally could not see his face, just his crisp white suit. Lucy narrows her eyes slightly and her gaze locks right onto that man's back. He felt strangely familiar, honestly kind. Of like Mason, she watches Sophia get into the car with him. She rubs her forehead. She feels like she has been absolutely cursed lately. I mean, how could Mason actually be with Sophia Smith? They come from completely different worlds, plus he would never wear that color anyway. The car finally stops at the boutique. Lucy pushes the door open and steps right out. Seeing those vibrant red roses lining the steps, her heart totally skips a beat. The main florist for this whole engagement party had been completely swapped out. These were not the white roses she loved. A staff member at the entrance politely stops them from entering. "Hello, our store is closed today. If you guys need anything, we can book a service for tomorrow." Lucy pauses. "I know, I am here for the engagement party." The worker looks stunned. "Miss, did you mix up the time? The engagement party is already over. The venue is currently being cleaned up." Her expression was completely indescribable. Working in this industry this long, it was her first time seeing someone arrive at 2 p.m. By then, everyone had already attended and left. Lucy tightly clenches her hands, which are just hanging by her sides. She stays completely silent for a long time. Out of professional courtesy, Assistant Sam gathers the courage to step right forward. Checking his watch, "The party is definitely over. Should we head back first?" His words seem to startle Lucy. She peers inside the store. "I don't know why, but I feel incredibly anxious today. I want to go inside and take a look." The staff member looks a bit embarrassed, but given their crazy rich person aura, it shouldn't be a big deal. She immediately compromises. "You guys can take a look inside, but leave quickly. Now you and I should watch closely." Lucy walks in. As soon as she enters the banquet hall, she is completely surrounded by red roses. An intense fragrance totally overwhelms the space. The staff were not lying. The entire setup was actively being dismantled. Two waiters are carrying a massive decorative piece woven straight from rose vines. It obscures most of the backdrop board, leaving only the name Mason faintly visible right at the very top. Lucy stares at this huge room filled with red roses in absolute dead silence. She picks one up from the ground. Chloe grabs a cigarette from the table, brings the black bag right to her nose and sniffs. This specific type of rose seems pretty rare. The dark red color, paired with that soft velvet texture, it takes the classic red rose, which might normally look a bit tacky, and gives it an elegant, noble flair. Assistant Sam pushes his glasses up. "This rare variety is called the black antelope. It is actually not that common under normal circumstances, but it is not exactly a super rare species either. But honestly, mobilizing so many fresh black antelopes on such short notice, you and I know that took a massive amount of effort." When Chloe, hearing the flower wasn't rare at all, she brushed it off entirely. She tossed the bouquet right back onto the table. "I thought it was special," she muttered to herself, then greeted Lucy with a huge smile. "Sister Lucy, everyone else already left us. What is so interesting anyway? Let's get going." Lucy twirled the flower, her gaze sweeping across the petals. "Did you tell Mason I was coming back?" Assistant Sam immediately stood up straighter. "I messaged Mr. Mason right before we boarded the flight. Let me tell you, the room grew insanely tense. Mason knew she was rushing back, but the guy still did not wait. Total sleep deprivation and zero food made Lucy's vision completely blur. She swayed on her feet. Sam instantly whipped out a candy piece and shoved it right into her mouth. "Are you okay?" She skipped eating entirely while rushing over here. Low blood sugar hitting hard. Honestly, she forgets to eat whenever work gets crazy. But with Mason checking in daily, I usually make sure she gets some simple food. It has been way too long since I made this exact mistake. I honestly forgot she even had hypoglycemia. Chloe then quickly helped Lucy sit down in a nearby chair. This is all because Mason made her so furious. Sister Lucy is completely exhausted from looking after Ethan, and he still throws a massive tantrum at the worst time. He did not even wait around for the engagement party. It is beyond ridiculous. Naturally, Assistant Sam opened his mouth but stayed quiet. he just absorbed the ranting, having no right to judge his boss at all. He kept quiet. Lucy leaned weakly against the table. Let's head back. I need to see him. Heading to the Miller estate, Lucy grabbed her phone and dialed Mason's number. Just a dead busy signal. Every single attempt, the car's atmosphere turned incredibly heavy and tense. Chloe could not hold back anymore. Sister Lucy, you know his temper well. This is not the first time he has acted completely crazy. Just ignore him. Honestly, you spoiled him way too much lately. He actually ghosted you right before the wedding. Once you guys finally marry, he will be unbearable. Assistant Sam quickly noticed her rant was crossing the line and coughed. Look, Mr. Mason is handling the entire engagement party by himself. He is swamped. Maybe he just missed it. Even I have been too busy to check my own phone for days now. Without saying anything, Lucy's face grew dangerously dark. With a freezing tone, she muttered, "You are right. I spoiled him entirely." She admitted she was wrong here, but you and I know the truth. Reaching Shanghai, she made Assistant Sam notify Mason instantly, and they tried their absolute hardest to rush home. After 10 years together, could he not understand her side at all? Lucy glared at the jewelry box resting back there and sneered bitterly. She actually wanted to apologize, rushing to bring peace offering for him. Now, total waste of time. Raising her hand, she rubbed her tired eyes and tossed the velvet box right at Sam. Give it to Ethan. If he refuses, plenty of other people will gladly take it. She would just wait until Mason regretted everything. Meanwhile, Assistant Sam tried calming her down, but his phone suddenly buzzed loudly. Answering it, the girl calling sounded like she was fully breaking down in tears. Another assistant from the main office. Sam, is Lucy with you? Yes, she is. All right, you and I are jumping right into absolute chaos. The company is failing. Whatever they said on that call, Assistant Sam's face just turned completely ghost white. Heading back to headquarters, Lucy's expression is terrifyingly dark right now. Since that phone call dropped, Sam has not let go of his screen. Lowe's hands are literally shaking on the steering wheel. She keeps whispering in total disbelief. How dare he? Harry is just some punk kicked out of a trash-tier college. If his younger brother had not saved Lucy's life, he would never have stepped foot inside the Lancaster Group. Ever. How dare that guy sell broken trash as premium goods? He totally sabotaged the Lancaster and Lewis family deal. And listen, you and I both know those two families are massive partners. Aside from the Millers, it was always the Lewis Group. With everything blowing up like this, even if they somehow fix this massive disaster, Lucy's corporate reputation is completely ruined. That idiot just wanted to pocket a quick $10 million, but he is literally tearing down the entire foundation of the Lancaster legacy. Sam dials the number again. Nothing. Dead silence on the line. It rings until it drops. His usual cool vibe is gone, replaced by a very deep scowl. He sounds so stiff talking to her. CEO Lucy, no one is picking up Mr. Lewis's phone. For years, Mr. Mason was the one in charge of handling all the deals between the Lancasters and the Lewis family. These two families are old allies. They never try to make things difficult for each other. This is literally the first time Mr. Lewis has ghosted their calls. Sam suddenly remembers that CEO Lucy actually skipped the engagement party for Ethan. He frowns hard. There were major supply chain issues with the raw materials for the last 6 months, but it conveniently exploded at this exact moment. Mr. Lewis might not be throwing a tantrum, but honestly, right from the start, Sam hated the idea of the Yee brothers joining the company. CEO Lucy pushed for it anyway, despite literally everyone telling her no. She forced those two guys into massive power positions. The big marriage alliance with the Millers is already hanging by a single thread right now. Not to mention the corporate projects are drowning in trouble. He just cannot understand this mess. CEO Lucy is a genius, so why does she lose her damn mind every single time Ethan gets involved? Thinking about those two Yee Brothers, they are like absolute parasites. Sam just tightly closes his eyes. This wave of total helplessness is washing over him. Lucy hears Khlo whispering, and her own heart is hammering like crazy. It feels like it might rip out of her chest. When Harry was first made the warehouse manager, he had zero experience. All those complaints are still echoing right in her ears. CEO Lucy, Harry is totally useless for this warehouse management position. If you want him here, let him start out from the bottom. CEO Lucy, his terrible education barely qualifies as a basic security guard here. Promoting him this fast is just asking for a total disaster. Even Khlo, who never argues with her, had voiced her objections back then. Sister Lucy, you are crazy. He got expelled for theft. And you put him in charge of inventory. We all saw this coming, right? You and I know that's like locking a rat in a grain vault. Her excuse, she figured they just had a petty grudge against Ethan, letting personal feelings ruin the workplace. She assumed assistant Sam was just being a massive snob, judging people purely based on degrees and blind prejudice. And regarding Khlo's serious accusation of theft, it was just a roommate's watch worth tens of thousands. At the time, she reasoned she wouldn't even blink at a watch in that cheap bracket. In her mind, it didn't even qualify as actual theft. She promised them she would take full blame if things went south. Total, sheer arrogance on her part. She assumed that with Harry's absolute lack of skill, even if he failed completely, she could easily sweep it under the rug. The car slams its brakes, stopping right in front of the Lancaster Company building. Lucy and Chloe step out first. Now when assistant Sam gets out, he spots it, that black velvet gift box, the exact same present Lucy hand-picked for him. Now, he is practically ordered to hand-deliver it to Ethan. Sam really wants to just ignore the thing, but he pauses right as he goes to shut the door, reaches back inside and grabs it. Strolling past the front desk, he hands the velvet box and a written address straight to a receptionist. Make sure this gets delivered. Meanwhile, up on the top floor of Lancaster, an assistant brings in hot coffee for the third time today. Her eyes are totally red, looking like she is absolutely about to burst into tears. Secretary Wang, please have some coffee. CEO Lucy and assistant Sam aren't back yet, and Mr. Mason is completely missing. 2. We are about to witness her bite the bullet and play host. Meanwhile, Secretary Wang, the Lewis family rep in a killer business suit, sits up straight on the leather sofa, glaring at the wall clock, her tone way less than polite. We do not want your cheap coffee. Mr. Lewis's status is way too high, and as his secretary, I will not accept this. The assistant's trembling eyes fill up with fresh tears. CEO Lucy is rushing here. Please just wait a tiny bit longer. Now, Secretary Wang is already furious, and seeing this girl crying and whining just makes her blood boil. Stop crying. If anyone sees you, they will think I am bullying you. I seriously don't get how Lucy climbed to the CEO spot. Who exactly does her office even higher, like that guy Ethan? Acting as a secretary, he is constantly getting headaches, sudden fevers, and burning through sick leave. The CEO practically babysits him, and now here we have this totally fragile assistant who only knows how to pour bad coffee and sob uncontrollably. Seriously, after 2 sentences, the poor girl is so terrified by these harsh words she practically bawls. She stares at Wang with completely red, teary eyes, desperately fighting back her heavy sobs. Yes, I am so sorry. Well, Lucy walks in and catches this exact humiliating scene. Instantly, she shoots Secretary Wang a freezing look of pure disgust, then tells her crying assistant, go wait downstairs. She stands there, waiting for the girl to leave. The office door clicks shut. Lucy sits down right across from Wang, picks up the contract, flips through the pages, and says with pure ice, I will explain everything to the Lewis family. Secretary Wang just slowly raises an eyebrow at her. Her sharp gaze sweeps over Lucy, finally locking right onto the heavy grayish-blue bags under her tired eyes. A totally mocking smile plays on her Lips explain. Trust me, Mr. Lewis wants way more than an explanation. Secretary Wang. That intense, judging stare, it just made Lucy's irritated heart flare right up. Even more, her fingers, casually flipping through those contract pages, came to an absolute. Stop flashing a cold half-smile, she asked. Secretary Wang, how should we handle this? Mess, Secretary Wang just shot back a perfectly polite, icy smile. Cut the partnership. Miss Lancaster will compensate Mr. Lewis for every single loss, issue a public apology, and pay those massive penalty fees. Lucy calmly glanced down at the documents. Well, if I am not totally mistaken, the Lewis family has not actually used a single piece of this material, right? She snapped the folder shut, meeting Secretary Wang's steady gaze. Let us compromise here. You guys keep this entire batch of materials. We refund half of your initial payment. It saves the Lewis family cash, and we avoid shipping everything back and forth completely. A total win for everyone, Secretary Wang just sneered, slowly raising her hands up. Cue the dramatic, mocking slow clap. CEO Lucy truly has a brilliant plan, she declared. Her voice was absolutely dripping with sarcasm. Miss Lancaster, take a wild guess why none of these goods got touched for 6 whole months. It is not that they are unusable. The Lewis family runs a strictly high-end business empire. Every single material is flawlessly selected, pushing your defective trash onto our elite customers. That is basically digging our own grave. Secretary Wang's expression turned completely frigid. My proposal is the only way out. You have exactly 3 days. I highly suggest you think it over. She snatched the papers right from Lucy's grip. In 3 days, if the Lewis family does not see genuine Lancaster sincerity, we will see you in court. Absolute mic drop. Without hesitating, Secretary Wang pivoted toward the door, heels clicking loudly. Secretary Wang, are you absolutely certain that you have the authority to make this call? Lucy leaned back on the sofa, her legs casually and elegantly crossed, her gaze locked onto the secretary, carrying a heavy, unsaid warning, pure, unfiltered disdain. Secretary Wang paused, turning right back around to stare at the CEO, her perfectly winged eyes narrowed in suspicion. Just what exactly does CEO Lucy mean by that? Lucy calmly picked up a glass, poured herself some water, and took a slow sip. The Lewis and Miller families are incredibly close, right? And I am Mason Miller's fiancé. She glanced up, locking eyes with the tense secretary. Wang again, you really want to mess with the Lancasters. Does Mr. Lewis even know about your little stunt? Secretary Wang stared at this bizarrely confident woman and found the whole thing hilarious. I honestly feel sorry for you. You and I know it turns out Lucy actually knows about the messy collusion between the Lancaster family and Mr. Lewis. I mean, it was entirely thanks to Lucy's hard work that this deal even got signed, but did she really think her lucky streak would just last forever? Mason vouched for her to Chairman Lewis, yet she cannot even manage her own team. She literally let someone sabotage the goods so her best friend's brother could climb the corporate ladder using her resources. They will throw her under the bus and blow the whole thing up the second things go sideways. If only Chairman Lewis was a little less short-sighted. Never mind the failing partnership with the Lancaster family. Even the vital alliance between the Millers and the Lewis family is going to crash. Secretary Wang genuinely could not understand it. What did anyone ever see in Lucy anyway? She suddenly remembered what went down 2 days ago at the Lewis office, spotting the VIP invitation at the front desk, plus Mr. Lewis making that frantic noon phone call. Her smile only grew brighter. Whether I make the call or not is entirely my business. CEO Lucy shouldn't worry about it. Honestly, if she has this much free time, she'd better spend it figuring out how to raise those missing funds. Boom, the second that office door clicked shut, Lucy completely lost her mind. She swept her arm right across the desk, sending every single cup crashing onto the floor. The secretary's workspace sat directly outside the president's room, peering through the glass doors. Anyone could easily spot the young assistants inside, looking totally panicked and frantically organizing documents. Meanwhile, Secretary Yi's usual spot sat glaringly empty. Their angry complaints were literally leaking out through the tiny crack in the door. This mess is Harry's fault. Why are we stuck cleaning it all up? Isn't Assistant Ethan his brother? Why not make him gather all these statistics himself? This data warehouse has years of files. I couldn't finish sorting this. Even if I pulled a total all-nighter. Keep your voice down, another frantically shushed. If Assistant Ethan and CEO Lucy hear you, we're all dead. Haven't you heard the latest? Gossip. CEO Lucy completely skipped Director Mason's engagement party just for Assistant Ethan. Oh really, poor Director Mason, what a total disaster. The young master of the Miller family literally got his fiancé snatched by some money-grubbing, absolute country bumpkin. Secretary Wang just raised an eyebrow as she listened to their juicy gossip, watching them with sheer amusement, but her brisk footsteps didn't stop once. Gripping her folder tightly, she stepped straight into the elevator. Just moments ago, Lucy was still proudly parading around, calling herself Mason's fiancé. Even the top assistants in the president's office were totally behind on the latest news. Honestly, it was fascinating. The Lancaster family is massive, yet surprisingly, not a single person knew he had just gotten engaged to the powerful Smith family's daughter. Secretary Wonks just admired her beautiful reflection inside the shiny elevator doors. Looking completely fresh, she pulled out a lipstick from her bag to touch up her makeup. Things were definitely getting interesting. Now let's check the other side of town, where Sophia had just helped him into the luxury car. The privacy partition rolled right up, leaving just the two of them alone in the intimate space. Sophia smoothly fixed her dress, looking at him. You must have woken up really early today, she said softly. If you're tired, rest. I'll wake you when we arrive. He was quietly massaging his sore ankle and gave a very honest nod. I'm not tired, my foot just hurts a little. I should definitely soak it in hot water when I get home to ease the pain, to look cooler. Today, he had worn completely brand new shoes all day. After just a few hours, his ankles were totally blistered. Sophia looked down at his ankle, and true enough, it was visibly swollen. Her expression immediately darkened. She leaned right down and gently grabbed his ankle, the sudden unexpected warmth making him shiver slightly. Sophia accurately pressed her fingers deep into the pressure points, gently comforting him. Don't move, let me just massage it for you. It doesn't hurt, he completely lied through his teeth. Honestly, the pain was totally beside the point right now. He just felt incredibly embarrassed and quickly looked down. Sophia gently wrapped her soft fingers around his ankle. The visual contrast between her slender, super delicate hands and his rough ankle was striking. Suddenly, the air inside grew dangerously heavy, feeling like oxygen was slowly thinning out. He firmly resisted the urge to pull his foot back, now desperately trying to find any topic to distract himself. Thanks for everything today, Sophia. All right, picture this. When are we getting that marriage certificate? The second those words left his mouth, he wanted to slap himself. He panicked, quickly explaining, don't misunderstand me. I just meant you kept your promise. Now it is my turn to keep mine. Sophia did not stop moving, a quick little smile in her eyes. I know Mr. Mason is a man of his word, she said totally casually. There is no misunderstanding. She looked right up, shooting him this mysterious glance. Why is Mr. Mason panicking so much? He started off totally confident and honest, but one single look from Sophia, and he actually started feeling super guilty. But hey, even if he was losing the battle, he was not losing his pride. He stubbornly refused to back down here, lifting his chin up with this incredibly proud expression. I am not panicking. If I was, I definitely would not have brought up getting that marriage certificate. True, I just figured we have only known each other for a few days, and I worried if we rushed the registration, young Master Mason might feel really uncomfortable. It seems I completely underestimated young Master Mason's adaptability. I was wrong. She glanced at her watch. It is almost 4 p.m. Way too late today. Are you totally free tomorrow, young Master Mason? What was He's supposed to say, no rush. We all know he was the exact guy who brought it up first. He just had to swallow his pride. Gritting his teeth, he nodded, barring any surprises. Yes, I am available. He had taken half a month off to prep for his engagement party, so he still had 3 days of vacation left. Sophia simply said, oh, that is fine. I will pick you up tomorrow. The car pulled right up to his residential complex entrance. Sophia immediately stepped out and popped the trunk, grabbing the clothes he had changed out of and the gift boxes he got earlier. He reached out, feeling a bit embarrassed. I'll handle it myself. Sophia effortlessly dodged his hand. You have a foot injury. I'll bring them up for you. He was completely captivated by her deep gaze. The exact image of her gently massaging his ankle instantly flooded his mind. He instinctively shrank his ankle right back, totally compromising. That car conversation just now made him realize his resistance against Sophia Smith was just pathetically weak. Every single time he was alone with her, his IQ and emotional intelligence basically plummeted off a cliff, so he decided to just shut up, quietly following her shadow, walking slowly forward. The house he bought was not huge, but it definitely was a super high-end complex right in the city center. The landscaping was absolutely top tier, a quiet sanctuary amidst the crazy city hustle. It was just that ever since joining the Lancaster family, he had always left super early and returned late, completely lacking any energy to appreciate the beautiful scenery. But right now, strolling leisurely through the trees with Sophia, all his anxious emotions miraculously just settled right down. He was soaking in a rare moment of relaxation, not even noticing when Sophia stepped up right beside him until she finally spoke. In a very soft voice, do you like it here? He took a breath. Honestly, no. Sophia seemingly chuckled. He looked at her in pure confusion. Having outstanding looks really did come with its own special perks. Never mind, looking exactly like that. It completely makes sense. Her sense of humor is totally weird, he thought. What kind of style do you prefer? She asked right before stepping into the elevator. Well, I prefer small courtyards in the Jiang'an garden style. Carved wooden beams, painted classic pavilions and towers, a perfect spot to plant flowers, raise fish, and listen to the falling rain while admiring plum blossoms. Traditional Chinese courtyards are absolutely flawless, really. Well, except for that drafty fireplace. Watch closely as he lowered his head. Highly suspicious. Why ask that out of nowhere? Sophia, holding his bags, just looked right at him. Nothing. The Smith family's real estate division simply bought a plot. I haven't decided on a project for it yet, so I was just looking for inspiration. Is this the massive gap in mindset between normal people and top business elites? She absolutely deserved to be making that crazy money. After he finally saw Sophia off, she drove away. He kicked off his shoes and walked totally barefoot across the carpet. He had to admit one thing: Sophia's massage skills were insanely effective. At the very least, his lingering soreness had already faded quite a bit. He grabbed those gift bags from the entryway table, hauled them into his room, and began sorting things out. He reached to open the closet, looking to pick out fresh clothes for a shower, but then he saw it, a wardrobe absolutely stuffed with nothing but black, white, and gray suits. His fingers tightened hard around the closet handle. Honestly, his face was practically made for bright, vibrant colors. They matched his skin tone flawlessly. He vividly remembered how, even back in the old orphanage, the director bought him white shirts, always claiming he looked completely handsome wearing white. After he finally returned to the Miller family, his father tried to make things right, telling him to just buy any fancy clothes he possibly wanted. His closet back in those days was basically a literal rainbow. So when did it actually change? Now his entire wardrobe was just depressing black and gray. Thinking back on it, everything really shifted the second Ethan showed up. Ethan acted so fragile, pitiful, and constantly begging to be protected. Because of that act, whether it was Lucy or his childhood friend K.H. Lowe, they all slowly gravitated toward Ethan's pathetic displays of weakness, just to get any of Lucy's attention. Our guy swallowed his absolute pride, completely changed his whole style, and tried to become the exact person Lucy wanted, doing that until he entirely lost himself. Now let's switch gears. When Sophia hit the private club room, a loud group were goofing off in the gardens. Their faces were totally flushed red with alcohol. Spotting Sophia walk inside, one guy immediately stood up, waving her over to sit. Sister Sophia, come join the drinking game. I saved this seat just for you. They were swaying back and forth, crammed together like literal sardines, desperately making room for her. Sophia shot a glare at the drunk blonde, easily dodging his grabbing hands. I am not interested in this kind of game, just play without me. She sat down right beside Penny. Now Penny was rocking a white dress that practically gave off an icy glow under all those wild strobe lights, a massive contrast to the absolute drunken chaos happening over there. Penny's little corner was dead silent, like some melodramatic idol drama, complete with a corporate boss who looked completely miserable. Sophia calmly picked up a red glass from the table and poured a drink. Without any hesitation, she totally destroyed Penny's little act. It is just us here. Stop faking it. Penny's cold, calm facade instantly shattered to pieces. Sophia's sharp, piercing eyes narrowed with serious caution. People keep saying we are a couple, and you literally just got engaged. Honestly, what if I am actually feeling sad about it? Sophia smoothly slid to the side, firmly keeping her distance. I am a married woman. Do not flatter yourself. Penny nearly laughed. All right, you and I need to talk about this. How did someone so boring actually catch Mason? Penny sizes Sophia up, downing her red wine in one go. The glass was just a prop anyway. Seriously, how did she score such a massive win? For years, Sophia had zero interest in dating, like none at all. Penny legitimately thought she hated men, so this whole situation, it was an absolute shocker. I mean, Mason from Foreign Languages, back in their college days, his fan club literally stretched from the department building straight down to the main campus gates. Sophia just calmly adjusts her posture. What does she mean by a bargain? Please, this is destiny. Penny scoffs at that. Destiny, real destiny, is ending up at a stranger's house miles away by pure accident, with zero room for error, passing by Mason 10 times on the street. That is just plain luck. Penny chuckles. You are absolutely unbelievable. If she wasn't so completely skeptical of her friend, Penny would have just accepted it. If anyone bothered to trace this whole wild mystery back, they could check the bar's security footage and find the real truth. Yet everyone remained totally clueless, but that completely ruthless, perfectly efficient method, that is classic Sophia. Seize the perfect opening and take the target down instantly. Sophia completely ignores Penny's very heavy sarcasm. She just nods like it is facts. I am always good at that. Taking the compliment in stride, Sophia has zero desire to discuss her love life tonight. She downs the rest of her glass in one single gulp, casually dropping it onto the table. Her dark eyes scan the drunk crowd, stumbling closer. Do they seriously have this much free time? The two girls exchange a tired look. Penny grabs the bottle, pouring another round and adding water to Sophia's cup. Lounging on the sofa, Penny sighs. If you used that same energy to chase Mason, you could spare just a fraction of your attention for the club. I mean, I didn't even know about that big live stream event coming up. We run this entire studio together, so why am I the only one panicking about it? Sophia shoots her an absolutely icy glare. All those years of unspoken friendship make Penny instantly realize her mistake. Are you seriously bringing up Mason right now? Penny instantly zips her mouth totally shut. Let's just toast to Sophia instead. Meanwhile, Sophia slowly and carefully adjusts her clothes. I am done drinking. My man is going to worry. You guys keep going. Put it on my tab. Penny is totally speechless, showing up just to flex and leave. If Penny could actually win a fight, she would scratch her face, seeing Sophia already standing up and getting Ready to bolt, Penny panics. What I mean is, we are really hoping us two can join that live stream event with Blondie. What do you think? Back before they retired from gaming, those two and Blondie were an unstoppable trio. Regular teammates who dominated together. They were the legendary Three Musketeers, but after graduating, Sophia and Penny poured all their energy into the Yaoguang studio. Retiring completely, they left their youngest member Blondie to carry the whole club. They have not touched the game in years. Now here is the thing. The internet is flooded with fans begging for a comeback. Will it happen? A full comeback not happening, but they could still use this chance to honor the past. Giving the fans some perks is a solid move, Penny pointed out. Sophia froze for a split second right at the door, and then, suddenly, boom, old college dorm memories flashed before her. Lucy and Khlo messing around. And blaming Mason for his terrible PC, his trembling frame back then. Flicker of real pain flashed in her eyes. I'll be pretty busy lately. No plans for that right now. Penny just watched the woman's figure disappear and quietly rolled her eyes. Honestly, she'd rolled her eyes more times today than in her entire life combined. Shaking her head, she perfectly mimicked Sophia's sarcastic tone from earlier. Oh, I'm quite busy lately. Yeah, right, we're in the same exact company. Obviously, I know if she's actually swamped. Are you serious? She's clearly just rushing off to play the perfect obedient wife. Lover over friends, classic. Meanwhile, our guy Mason stepped right out of the bathroom casually drying his hair. An hour gone, the sunset outside, absolutely stunning. No noisy hair dryer for him. He just grabbed a book instead and headed out to the balcony, letting his hair air dry. His phone screen suddenly lit up on the table. A random text from an unknown number popped up. Mason picked it up, opened the text, grabbed his book, and strolled onto the balcony. The message itself, super short, plus a picture. Lucy's new watch, pretty right. The photo totally cut out the person's face. Just a wrist sporting a PC Philippe watch. This was obviously from Ethan. Mason had already blocked this guy on WeChat, so naturally, he used a random burner number. Mason sneered. This dude was like a ghost that wouldn't leave. He had zero patience for Ethan's fake, manipulative little games. Swiping the notification away, out of pure habit, he opened WeChat. An hour-old message from assistant Sam waited. Mr. Mason, the Lancaster and Lewis family projects just hit a massive wall. Could you get Mr. Lewis to answer my calls? Mason was always running those exact projects. He literally saw Uncle Lewis today, looking totally fine. So what kind of disaster just happened? Tapping his screen, he replied instantly. What happened? Sam must have been staring at his phone, because the very next second, the typing bubble popped up. It flashed a bit, but in the end, only one vague sentence came through. Minor issue, just need Mr. Lewis to answer. Yeah, right, you and I know they were hiding something. Mason opened the company group chat, dead silence. Usually, people would be slacking off and gossiping inside. Nothing. Obviously, Lucy was keeping this entire mess totally classified, even from Mason. He instantly guessed what was happening, especially with Ethan hovering near Sam. But even if Ethan played petty games, he wasn't touching the major corporate stuff. So this had to be his useless brother's fault. He totally caused this mess. Harry was the warehouse manager. Mason's chest tightened. That specific warehouse manager role wasn't huge, but if that idiot actually messed something up over there, it could trigger an absolute disaster. Mason clenched his phone incredibly tight. Knowing Lucy was probably still protecting Harry, his urge to just ditch this family grew stronger by the second. Meanwhile, Sam still hadn't gotten a reply. So another text popped up. Mr. Mason, are you there? He tapped the screen. If it is really just a minor issue, I'll deal with it when I. Mason's reply, deal with it after his vacation. Just one sentence, silenced assistant Sam completely. Mason put his phone on silent, fixed his hair, and curled up in his favorite recliner to read. Lucy desperately needed his help, but still didn't want him to Actually know the truth, please. Nothing in this corporate world is free. Anyway, looking. At Uncle Lewis's expression today, Mason felt totally reassured. Honestly, it seemed highly unlikely the Lewis family would take any real damage here, so let assistant Sam and CEO Lucy figure this whole mess out themselves. When they brought Harry aboard, they bragged about him pretty loudly, didn't they? Well, now that things have gone completely south, let's watch her clean up her own mess. Up in the CEO office of the Lancaster Group, Lucy stood frozen before her massive floor-to-ceiling windows, staring straight east through the glass, right towards Mason's neighborhood. Assistant Sam stood right behind her, nervously pursing his lips. CEO Lucy, our company's current working capital isn't even close to plugging the massive hole left by the Lewis family, $800 million over 6 months, plus heavy penalty fees. Even if we completely drained our other accounts, we'd still be short by half. I don't know exactly why, but the Lewis family's attitude is incredibly aggressive this time. Secretary Wang, usually so polite and approachable, has suddenly turned completely hostile, treating everyone here with utter contempt. They refuse to grant even a few days extension. 3 days means exactly 3 days if we don't secure those funds. In 3 days, they will publicly expose us for selling defective goods under the guise of high-quality products. The scandal will explode online, and a massive lawsuit will be filed against us. Once this leaks, our other business partners will absolutely make things a total nightmare for us. By then, this won't be a problem we can solve just by refunding a few $100 million. Our corporate reputation will be totally obliterated, and anyone ever wanting to work with us again will definitely have to seriously reconsider. Fixing this catastrophic situation was now as impossible as scaling heaven itself. Assistant Sam obviously understood this perfectly, and CEO Lucy naturally knew it too. Still can't reach Mason. Assistant Sam nervously hesitated for a brief moment. I guess we technically made contact. Hearing this, Lucy finally whipped around to look at him. What do you mean, technically made contact? Assistant Sam carefully weighed his next words. Well, you strictly forbade me from disclosing any information about Harry to Mr. Mason, so Mason said he will deal with everything after he returns from his vacation. Lucy instantly shot him a deadly, icy glare. Text him, tell him to get to the company. Assistant Sam nervously opened his mouth, but before he could even finish his sentence, Lucy ruthlessly cut him off. Immediately, right now. Assistant Sam winced, but he is not replying to my messages anymore, and I called, but he absolutely refuses to answer. Lucy felt like she had just punched cotton. She was absolutely burning with rage, but couldn't release it. She fiercely glared at Assistant Sam, yanked out her own phone, and angrily dialed Mason's number herself. It was just the continuous annoying beep of the dial tone. Don't hang up, she desperately muttered. No one answered. Lucy's face was instantly as dark as a scorched pot. What exactly does that guy do all day? She sharply glanced back at Assistant Sam. Has it always been this impossible to contact him? Even though they grew up together, it was always Mason desperately clinging to her, always calling her, stick with me here, because this was actually her first time being completely ignored by Mason twice in a row. Of course not, Sam. Silence. You and I know Mason runs the business department. His phone holds dozens of vital client numbers. Normally, that thing stays on 24/7. It used to be incredibly easy to reach him, but right now, facing CEO Lucy's intense interrogation, Assistant Sam just kept his head down, totally terrified to speak. Completely out of patience, Lucy snatched her suit jacket off the sofa and stormed right out. Sam scrambled to catch up. CEO Lucy, where exactly are you going? The company still has massive problems left to solve, and we are still hiding all this from the shareholders and the chairman. Lucy fired back coldly. Let us go see what Mason is really doing. Right then, her phone suddenly rang out. Assistant Sam's eyes completely lit up. It just has to be Mason calling. He might ignore me, but he genuinely respects you, CEO Lucy. Surely He is calling back right after seeing your missed call. Lucy stopped walking. She stared down at the buzzing phone in her hand, the normally calm Sam. Rushed closer, his face beaming with hope. Is it Mason? He asked. The Lancaster family mess is huge right now, but if Mason agrees to talk to Chairman Lewis for you, then all our company problems are solved. But as soon as the words left his mouth, Lucy's whole vibe turned. Dangerously cold and terrifying, she gripped her phone so intensely that she nearly shattered the screen. Sam nervously peeked down. Her phone kept vibrating, and the caller ID was glaringly obvious on the bright display. It was Ethan, not Mason. Sam's excitement died instantly. His whole body froze, backing up half a step in pure silence, desperately trying to just erase his own existence. From the corner of his eye, he watched Lucy glaring at the ringing screen for a very long time. She finally answered it right before it went to voicemail. Sam had no idea what was said on the other end, but her expression was absolute ice. Now, you and I should check on Mason. He just wanted to relax and get some fresh air. Shockingly, he was chilling comfortably on his recliner, completely unbothered, by the time he finally woke up. It was pitch black outside. The only light out there on the balcony came from the faint glow of distant neon city signs. He grabbed his phone to check the time. It was well past 10 p.m. He had several missed calls, mostly from Assistant Sam. The final one was from Lucy, left about 8 hours ago. The most recent alert was from a few hours back. She is probably stressing over the Louis's family drama that Lucy actually bothered to call him like this. He realized, guess he really did cause a massive headache for her. He chuckled at himself, clicked the screen off, and wandered into the kitchen. He noticed some packs of snail rice noodles he had bought earlier resting on the shelf. Might as well cook them up. He grabbed his phone to set a timer for the boiling water, but suddenly an incoming call flashed on screen. It was Lucy. His first instinct was to just hang up, figuring he was still technically working at her company. He hesitated for 2 brief seconds before tapping the answer button. The line stayed dead silent for a moment. Even through the phone, he could practically visualize her freezing, stubborn glare. Mason, Lucy finally muttered, her tone thick and raspy. Mason just gave a casual hum. Sensing his icy attitude, Lucy hesitated. Mason was already losing patience. Well, if that is all, I am hanging up. Why was Mason ignoring her calls? Why had he vanished completely over the last few days? Why did he know she was returning but still ditched her at the big engagement party? And why, when she finally lowered her pride to call, did he just completely ghost her? The second this call connected, Lucy had a million angry questions to fire at him, but when push came to shove, she only managed to choke out exactly one stiff sentence. Why? Mason just kept his head down, staying busy, his phone on silent. He didn't see it. This was literally the exact same excuse Lucy always used to brush him off. Today, he served it right back. Lucy took a heavy breath. I know you are mad. It is my fault. I can apologize, but we shouldn't drag our private drama into work. After all, Mason had always been the guy running the Louis's family projects. The engagement party is already over. Your vacation is officially canceled. I need you in my office tomorrow morning. Mason just stared at the boiling water, grabbed his chopsticks, and calmly stirred his noodles. Not tomorrow. I have got an appointment. On the other end, Lucy took another deep breath, her voice dripping with sheer impatience. Mason, I am talking about something serious here. You can only throw a tantrum for so long. Could you please stop acting completely unreasonable? Mason almost burst out laughing from pure anger. Just as he was about to snap back, he heard a soft, sweet guy's voice on her end. Sister Lucy. That interruption was immediately followed by Lucy losing her patience entirely. Mason, 9 a.m. tomorrow at the office. If you do not show up, you never need to set foot in this company again. She slammed the phone down immediately after that threat. Mason stared at his disconnected screen, pausing for 2 seconds, never come to the company again. Honestly, that sounded fantastic. He had originally been feeling a little bit nervous about picking up his marriage certificate tomorrow, but after Lucy's little threat, he was absolutely determined to go. Meanwhile, let us check in on the Smith family estate. A stunning woman dressed in black silk sat behind a massive wooden desk. A huge stack of real estate deeds was spread out before her. Assistant Xavier stood close by, swiping through a tablet, carefully cross-referencing every single property deed with its matching floor plan. After some digging, 2 prime properties were selected. From the massive pile, CEO Smith, please check these 2 options. Xavier picked up the deeds and a brochure, laying them side by side right in front of Sophia. One option is a sleek, modern Chinese-style villa. The second choice is an ancient Beijing courtyard house. Both meet your strict requirements, Sophia carefully examined the blueprints. As she moved her mouse, Mason's words about Jiangnan garden style kept looping endlessly in her mind. Her sharp gaze completely bypassed the modern villa, stopping dead on the courtyard house blueprints instead. She remembered this exact courtyard crystal clear. It was the coming-of-age gift her grandfather handed down before he passed away, a gorgeous, traditional 3-section courtyard house that used to be the residence of a Qing dynasty official. The entire aesthetic matched that classic Suzhou garden style. She tapped her slender finger right on the deed. This is the one. Have someone clean it up tomorrow morning. Assistant Xavier just stood there and quietly glanced at the computer screen. Honestly, she could not understand her boss's thought process at all. Why did CEO Smith suddenly need to review property deeds at midnight? Nodding obediently, always the smartest move here, she quickly and efficiently sorted the rest of the deeds and walked right out. The door clicked shut. Sophia just rubbed her temples, looking exhausted. She grabbed the selected property deed from her desk. Her mind was totally racing. Would he even like this? Honestly, you and I know her eyes were fixed, but her mind was miles away. Originally, she never planned on rushing the marriage certificate this early, but she knew Lucy was back in Beijing. Sure, Lucy was not much of a threat after all the years he had spent with Sophia, but seeing an ex can stir up old feelings. She absolutely refused to let him regret running into Lucy, so the only real option, locked down the official paperwork as fast as humanly possible. She wondered if he thought she was being way too desperate and abrupt. Sophia grabbed her phone, unlocked it, and opened up his chat. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She tried to type, but nothing came out. Right then, boom, a message popped up on her screen. It was exactly what he had just sent. The first thing she saw was a photo, steaming hot noodles and a perfectly crispy fried egg. It looked insanely delicious. Right under it was a short text: I am getting the marriage certificate tomorrow, do not forget to pick me up. Sophia just stared, rubbing her fingers together over his message. Seriously, what a power move. After some deep thought, she typed out a very serious, totally perfect response. But after hitting send, she realized a one-word reply looked way too icy. So she quickly added another line: eat and sleep early. Pickup is at 8 am sharp tomorrow. Then she tapped on his food photo, zoomed way in, studied it, saved it to favorites, and closed the app. She flipped her phone over and muttered, after all these years, his taste really has not changed at all. 7 a.m. the next morning, his internal body clock, trained by years of brutal office work, woke him up right on schedule. After doing the dishes, he headed downstairs, purposely showing up 10 minutes early. Surprise, Sophia was already parked and waiting. She walked right around to the driver's seat, sat down, and slowly buckled her seatbelt. Did he eat breakfast yet? He shook his head. Not yet. Sophia looked at him with those eyes he had known for so incredibly long. She reached over and pulled out a bag of hot meat buns and soy milk. Grabbed this on the way, see if it is good. He took the bag and popped it open. The warm smell of fresh wheat instantly filled the car. Eat up, we are early. it is not exactly a holiday, she noted, and honestly, the Civil Affairs Bureau was completely empty, barely anyone applying for marriage certificates today. The whole process went incredibly smooth. Watching those heavy steel seals get stamped down right in front of him, he felt pure loss and totally profound relief. He was handed that compact little red booklet. From this exact moment on, he was officially Sophia Smith's husband. And get this, not marrying his ex was not nearly as painful as we all thought. Leaving the bureau, they noticed the parking lot entrance was completely blocked off by some young couple's car. While waiting for them to move, Sophia randomly took out her little red booklet and held up her phone. Want to take a quick? He raised his hand, acting like a human selfie stick. Sophia held her booklet next to his, snapping 3 quick photos. Then meticulously picked the best one. She opened Weibo. Was she posting this to a family chat or WeChat moments? He wondered, but seeing her open Weibo, pure panic made his scalp tingle. Did this girl not realize her own massive influence? Her fans definitely lacked any chill whatsoever. As a former esports pro with millions of hardcore fans and the absolute favorite granddaughter of the Smith family, suddenly announcing her marriage would completely break the internet. Would her obsessed fanboys actually tear him apart? He panicked inside. Sophia clearly noticed his sudden mood shift. She muttered that he probably did not want this on Weibo. He blinked in surprise. Was this too high profile? But then he quickly remembered when Sophia first agreed to this engagement. She explicitly said she just wanted a very public husband to block her family's marriage pressure and to completely reassure their business partners while crushing any industry rumors. So honestly, the grander the wedding, the better. Plus, it was literally just a photo of the marriage certificate cover. It would not affect him much. He shook his head repeatedly. Yeah, you can post it. Sophia stared at him for 2 seconds. Then she looked down at her screen. Let's just skip Weibo. But the disappointment on her face was totally obvious. She sounded completely pouty. If you do not want to, no big deal, no impact. The cars blocking their path finally moved. Sophia looked ahead and started the engine. I'll just show you the profile picture. She repeated it again. No impact. He could not tell if it was his imagination, but every single time she said no impact, she radiated pure disappointment and heavy accusation from head to toe, and he was the oathbreaker here, feeling like a total failure as Sophia turned the steering wheel to actually leave the parking lot. He finally cracked. He hurriedly blurted out, nobody said they didn't want it. You can post it. Her hands stayed tight on the wheel. The car didn't budge an inch. She just turned her head, staring at him as if confirming if he was lying again, being stared at with such a completely aggrieved, reproachful gaze. He felt like a notorious scammer who specialized in tricking women into marriage. He had asked for her help first. His problem was solved. Now it was Sophia's turn, and here he was making excuses, taking the benefits while playing innocent. A massive wave of heavy guilt crashed over him. He spoke softly. You can post it. Sophia's aggrieved expression finally softened. Really, I can post it. He nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Yes, post it. To prove his absolute resolve, he actively handed back the phone she had tossed aside. Post it right now. Finally, Sophia reluctantly took the phone, unlocked it, quickly edited the caption, added the photo she just chose, and hit send. Sent, he nodded. Again, she actually sent it. The car restarted, slowly leaving the parking lot. We all knew this was coming. The second she posted to Weibo, her notifications went absolutely insane, endless buzzing. Even though she had retired years ago, her massive and highly active fanbase meant this post. The moment the news dropped online, the internet completely exploded. Mason had already braced himself for the inevitable fan backlash. Surprisingly, Sophia's fans focused on something completely different. It wasn't about who she married. They were obsessed with knowing what kind of absolute legend actually melted her famously freezing heart. Mason scrolled through endless threads of her legendary Ice Queen quotes online. He glanced over at the woman beside him. So this was the real Sophia. He vividly remembered that old campus wall. Always the untouchable goddess. Maybe Mason had been staring at her way too long. Because Sophia suddenly whipped the steering wheel, bringing the sleek black Bentley to a perfect stop by the curb. She scrolled through all the wild comments. Flooding her screen, she knew exactly what everyone online was saying about them. She stared right at Mason. Am I anything like you expected? Reality seems a bit different from the rumors. He just gave an honest nod. She leaned in dangerously close, staring straight into his eyes. Want to know the real me? Mason just stared at the stunning woman sitting way too close for comfort. Her eyes almost gleaming. He felt a massive jolt hit him straight in the chest, his brain totally short-circuited. He completely forgot her words and just nodded. Like an idiot, Sophia held out her small pinky finger. Pinky promise. He stared at her hand, completely baffled. Since finishing kindergarten, he hadn't made a single pinky promise, but those perfectly elegant fingers of hers. Absolute perfection. Honestly, a total weakness for anyone looking. This is way too tempting, he muttered. Reaching out blindly, he felt her pinky hook around her skin was incredibly soft, just as he imagined. She smoothly pulled back, fired up the car and smiled. Since you agreed, let's start with a game. My club is hosting a major event soon. You and I are entering it together. Mason was still totally distracted by the lingering feeling of her hand when her crazy statement finally hit his brain. His eyes shot completely wide open. A game? Wait, what game? Now listen, Mason was a legendary disaster at gaming. As he opened his mouth to ask, his phone suddenly buzzed wildly in his pocket. He yanked it out, checking the screen. Assistant Sam, he was probably calling to demand answers about the news. Mason swiped right to answer. Instantly, Sam's absolutely frantic voice screamed through the speaker. Mr. Mason, where are you, CEO? Lucy is completely furious. Listen, I'm on vacation. Work matters, sure, but please just contact me when I finally return to the office. Mason was fully ready to hang up right there, but poor Sam sounded so absolutely terrified that his voice was actually trembling. Sir, you know exactly how crazy Lucy's temper gets. You really don't want her kicking down your front door, do you? Hearing that, Mason's thumb completely froze over the red button, knowing Lucy's famously explosive rage. That was absolutely something that unhinged woman would actually do. After a heavy pause, he muttered, fine, I get it. Rather than letting Lucy trash my place and cause a massive scene, I'll just head into the company myself. Plus, I can use this chance to finally pack up my desk. Ending the call, he glanced at Sophia. Awkwardly, could you maybe drive me to the Lancaster family company? Instantly, the car fell completely, awkwardly silent. His request just hung in the air. Sophia quietly shifted gears. The black Bentley roared down the city streets. Mason just watched the neon lights. Scenery blurred past the window. He could tell Sophia was fuming right now. The vibe around her was freezing cold. She was definitely ticked off. Because of Lucy. After all, his past drama with his ex had caused a massive public scandal. Now that he chose Sophia, he really needed to finally say goodbye to his past and keep away. But get this, the exact day he got his marriage certificate, he was rushing straight back to work to see Lucy. Sophia being upset, totally justified, he gripped his phone tight and tried explaining softly, I'm just heading to the Lancaster company for work. I promise from now on, I will absolutely keep my distance from Lucy. I will never embarrass the Smith family name. Sophia just stared straight ahead, complete silence, but then he subtly noticed a tiny, delicate wrinkle softening the corner of her eye. Honestly, if he was not paying super close attention to her face, he never would have noticed. Still holding his phone, his mind drifted to college days. K.H. Lowe's old warning about Sophia echoed in his head, a girl like Sophia Smith Looks normal, acts totally ice cold, but actually has the softest eyes ever. She is actually super easy to win over. Back then, he totally disagreed with KHLO completely. I mean, the line of guys chasing Sophia back in college could literally circle campus 3 times, but for 4 whole years, not one single guy conquered this ice queen, but right now he was finally starting to believe it. She really was easy to coax. He strolled into the lobby of the Lancaster Company building. The downstairs receptionist saw him walking in and instantly stood up, hitting the elevator button for him. Director Mason. You are finally here. Assistant Sam has been begging for you all day. He nodded and flashed a quick smile. I know, thanks for the warning. Then he stepped right into the elevator. The metal doors slowly opened up. He stepped out. Assistant Sam was busy chewing out some junior staff over in the office. Hearing the elevator ding, Sam whipped his head around, eyes lighting up. Mr. Mason, thank goodness. President Lucy is absolutely furious in her office. He just mumbled, glancing at the clearly crying assistants nearby. He tilted his head. What is going on? Sam whispered back in a panicked voice. They leaked some company secrets. Boss Lucy wants to pay them 3 months severance and fire everyone. That is ridiculous, he shot back. The job of an executive assistant is tough. Even if you rush to hire new people, it will never beat having experienced staff. Just leave them alone. Honestly, do you think Ethan plans to poach the whole office? How much power does he actually have? Assistant Sam obviously knew the real truth. Hearing that, Sam forced a painful smile. You know Lucy's temper. I'm afraid I need you to step in and save me here. He just shot Assistant Sam a super knowing look. Getting used again, right? Just another scapegoat left to face Lucy's crazy wrath. He did not say another word, walking straight past Sam and knocking gently on the big office door. Even from out here, he could hear Lucy screaming inside. Get out. He just calmly grabbed the cold door knob. The second it swung open, a ceramic coffee cup flew right at him, smashing right at his shoes. It shattered into pieces. Hot coffee. All right, watch this. Dark liquid splashed his trousers, leaving an ugly brown stain. He was shocked by the sudden attack, making him stumble half a step back, catching himself to keep balance against the door frame. Seeing him standing there, Lucy shot up from her chair. Quick flash of anxiety and regret crossing her eyes. Why him? Ethan, who was standing right next to her, noticed Lucy's reaction instantly. He quickly hid the twisted joy inside his heart, faking a look of deep concern instead. Mr. Mason, are you okay? He grabbed our guy's wrist, speaking softly. Sister Lucy is just having a bad day. It wasn't aimed at you. Please don't misunderstand. While speaking, Ethan shifted his posture perfectly to show off the shiny new watch on his wrist. Hearing Ethan's fake defense, Lucy suddenly remembered our MC's recent cold attitude and stubborn behavior over the past few days. The guilt in her eyes vanished completely. She slowly sat back down. Ethan, you can step out first, just ignore him. Hearing Lucy's command, Ethan obediently nodded, but right before leaving, from a blind spot Lucy couldn't see, Ethan shot him a perfectly provocative glare. In the past, if Ethan pulled this stunt, even if he kept a totally calm face, his heart would have ached fiercely. But now, after just a few short days, Ethan's little performance was permanently burned into his mind as nothing but a pathetic joke. Trust me, it couldn't cause even a ripple of emotion anymore. The door closed behind Ethan. He calmly brushed his trouser leg, took a few steps forward, and asked, "How can I help you, CEO Lucy?" Lucy closed her eyes and leaned back in her office chair, massaging her temples, completely exhausted. From the past few days, she had absolute zero energy left to deal with him. The joint project between the Lancasters and the Lewis family has hit a major snag. You probably know all about this, right? You have always managed the Lewis family projects. I am handing this mess over to you. Any objections, CEO? Lucy, could you tell me first what exactly went wrong, if the issue actually falls under my department? I definitely will not refuse. As soon as he spoke, he could clearly feel Lucy's entire aura freeze for a second. She dropped her massaging hands and glared right up at him. The warehouse shipped the wrong items. It is not a big deal, just call Mr. Lewis. Ask for extra time and I will make sure to give him a satisfactory answer. After Lucy finished, she felt a huge wave of relief. With his intervention, the Lewis family wouldn't blow this thing totally out of proportion. At the very least, out of respect for the Miller family, Mr. Lewis wouldn't take things to the extreme or expose it to the public. The heavy tension on Lucy's face eased up, completely convinced that he wouldn't reject her request. But nope, he firmly shook his head. CEO Lucy is very busy with important matters. Perhaps you have completely forgotten. The warehouse is not under my jurisdiction. You should contact Manager Harry about this mess. If it were truly just a minor issue, Assistant Sam and you wouldn't have been calling me like you were on your deathbeds. On the day of the engagement, Uncle Lewis had explicitly asked him if it was true that he and Lucy were actually dating. He could easily guess what Uncle Lewis was plotting here. Lucy was definitely at fault. But get this, he was also using this incident to make things incredibly hard for her. Supporting him meant that at this critical juncture, he absolutely could not step in to help Lucy. It would only break Uncle Lewis's heart. Lucy frowned. This project was your job initially. What is wrong with asking you to fix the mess now that things crashed? Besides, Harry is completely clueless. Mason stared at Lucy standing there, the impatience written all over her face. As usual, whenever these two had a fight, it was always because Ethan looked upset. That is just how things were. Without any hesitation, she would just dump all the blame squarely on his shoulders. Mason finally realized how much he had endured over the years. It was entirely pathetic. Then our guy actually burst out laughing. So even CEO Lucy admits that Harry doesn't know anything at all. Then why give him that massive position anyway? Lucy's eyes went wide, staring at him in total shock. Are you blaming me? I am just asking you to call Mr. Lewis once. A tiny favor. Since when did you get so incredibly petty? I am just stating facts. When you let Harry take over the warehouse, everyone told you to reconsider. It was you who abused your power for personal gain and acted alone. When mistakes happen, the guilty party must face the music. I will not help with this project at all. I came here today just to tell you I am quitting the director position at Lancaster Corporation. See, you and I know our guy was hired through a special executive program, which completely bypassed standard HR rules. If he wanted out right now, he did not need to file official paperwork. Telling Lucy was totally enough. Wait, what did you just say? Quitting the director role. What do you want instead? My secretary spot. After all this time, you still obsess over Ethan. You use every single chance to push Ethan out of the company. Mason, can we please stop fighting? I am honestly exhausted. You have absolutely everything. Why target poor Ethan? If I fire him just to please you, how on earth is he supposed to survive out there? Mason, seriously, leave the Lancaster family out of this mess. Lucy just sat there, her annoyed expression completely frozen. Have you actually thought this over? Quitting is simple. Crawling back later will be super difficult. Ethan and I have never crossed any lines. How many times must I repeat myself before you believe me? I told you, Ethan saved my life. So he is basically my little brother. You are my fiancé. You will still become my husband soon. If you cannot even understand that much, even after the wedding, this relationship is doomed. Seriously, in CEO Lucy's deluded mind, what exactly counts as crossing lines? Mason shot back. His cushy job, the house is in my name, the cars, his clothes, even his brother's career. Which of those problems did you not solve for him? Is it only cheating if I catch you two red-handed in bed? Mason. Lucy absolutely roared. Do not push me. Push you? You actually have the nerve. Are you terrified I might speak the truth? Over the years, because of him, how many times did you ditch our dates over a phone call? Honestly, I have. Lost count, fiancé, do not insult that word. All our sunny memories in your fake sunshine. The second you abandoned me to go find Ethan in Shanghai, it was completely shattered. Having dropped that massive truth bomb, Mason turned and walked straight toward the door. Lucy watched his retreating back, the calm in her eyes slowly cracking. A violent surge of panic suddenly rose within her. It felt exactly like a massive boulder had lodged deep inside her chest, suffocating her. She really wanted to speak, feeling that this time Mason was being totally unreasonable, ignoring the big picture entirely. But then, ultimately she stayed silent, helplessly watching his figure completely vanish from sight. That invisible fire inside her heart, it almost burned her alive. Finally she could not hold back anymore. She swung her arm, violently sweeping everything off her desk and onto the floor. That blue crystal strawberry bear pendant snapped in half. As it hit the ground, the curve of the bear's head looked permanently frozen in a mocking sneer. Assistant Sam stepped up from outside the door, offering a forced smile. Mr. Mason, have you settled the issue with CEO Lucy? Mason replied softly. It is settled. I dealt with Lucy. With that, he walked right past Assistant Sam, heading directly for the elevator. Assistant Sam quickly caught up. Did you mention the assistant issue to CEO Lucy? Under Assistant Sam's intensely watchful eyes plus the cautious glares from the other staff, Mason just raised his hand and pressed the elevator button. No, Assistant Sam, whether it is a serious issue with the warehouse or the secretariat, absolutely none of it has anything to do with me anymore. From now on, anything involving the Lancaster family is simply not my problem. I have resigned. Assistant Sam felt like his brain just short-circuited. Why would Mr. Mason resign? He was supposed to become the patriarch of the Lancaster family very soon. Where could he even possibly go after leaving the Lancasters? Before Assistant Sam could process this bombshell, the elevator doors chimed open. Chloe stepped out holding her phone, with everyone staring right at Mason. She sneered sarcastically. Oh, Mr. Mason finally decided to grace the company with his presence. Mason did not even glance at her, stepping straight into the elevator. Right up until the doors closed, he just shot Khlo a flat look. She stomped her foot in pure anger. Look at him. He is not even Sister Lucy's husband. Yet why is he so ridiculously arrogant? Sooner or later, he will completely destroy whatever feeling Sister Lucy actually has left for him. He always walks around with that holier than thou expression. He is no fun at all. Honestly, no wonder Sister Lucy ditched him for Ethan. Only after shouting did she realize the entire rooftop was sitting eerily silent. Belatedly, she sensed something was terribly wrong here. Turning around, she saw Assistant Sam looking completely dazed. Several other assistants had red eyes with tears streaming down their faces. They were openly sobbing. Only Ethan actually seemed relatively normal. His expression was a wild mix of surprise and sheer joy. Khlo leaned close to Assistant Sam, frantically waving her hand in front of his face. What is going on? What happened? You guys look like you have seen a ghost. Assistant Sam brushed Khlo's hand away. There was real panic in his voice. Mr. Mason resigned. Khlo's face slowly stiffened. That previously joyful vibe, we just watched it completely vaporize. Sister Lucy, Assistant Sam mechanically pointed right toward the CEO's office. The second Chloe stepped inside the president's office. She was greeted by absolute chaos. Every single thing on the desk had been swept onto the floor, even that familiar blue crystal pendant, usually protected so carefully, was completely snapped in half. One piece flown south, the other shattered north. In all these years, this was the very first time she had ever seen Sister Lucy this enraged. Chloe really all right. She desperately wanted to run, but couldn't. She carefully stepped over the shattered glass. Sister Lucy, Mason is gone. What about the Louis family? Hearing this, Lucy just raised her bloodshot eyes. Do you really think I cannot survive without him? Chloe shook her head in total shock. No, how is that even possible? Mason clearly cannot live without you, Sister Lucy. But the real problem is the Louis's family project simply cannot wait. One of our 3 days is already gone. Where will we find $800 million? Why not just accept the situation? For now, go convince him to return first. You can teach him a lesson after. You deal with the Louis family. Furious, Lucy grabbed her jacket and threw it. Straight at Chloe. Get out, roll out of here, she screamed repeatedly, the intense look on. Her face was apparently all Chloe's fault. Still, the banter actually managed to lighten the mood quite a bit. He claimed that since I went to Shanghai to find Ethan, our connection was totally severed. Impossible, Chloe just laughed. I bet it will not even take 3 days before he comes crawling back home, judging by his tough act earlier. I thought he might actually accomplish something real. Turns out he is just jealous of Ethan. Chloe's harsh words clearly pleased Lucy. She closed her eyes, leaning back on the sofa as the bloodshot redness in her eyes slowly faded away. Seeing Lucy finally calm down, Chloe quietly suggested, should we issue a notice to expel Ethan and Harry? President Louis always treated Mason like a little brother. He acted so ruthlessly this time. He must be incredibly angry with the Yi brothers over this whole mess. The top priority right now is appeasing the Louis family. Look, even if we secretly bring Ethan back later, we need to solve the urgent problem first. Chloe had planned this from the very beginning. Deep down, she caught feelings for Ethan and absolutely hated his useless brother. Honestly, Sister Lucy had done way too much for them. Harry actually dared to mess with official company business. If they do not teach him a lesson now, who knows what disasters he will cause later. Every single time she heard Harry's name, Lucy just shook her head in total despair. Expulsion is not nearly enough. Make him spit out everything he swallowed, then make him work as a lowly security guard. Chloe nodded in agreement, and Ethan, ultimately, he is the root of this mess. If Ethan was not so pampered and spoiled, his brother would never have sneaked into the Lancaster family in the first place, much less have the absolute audacity to forge data on massive amounts of company goods. Lucy sat silently, pondering for a moment. This has absolutely nothing to do with Ethan. I will find a way to resolve this. Did Mason not leave the company out of pure jealousy over Ethan? I am determined to use Ethan to teach him a harsh lesson about his temper. Chloe stared at Lucy. Knowing her stubborn streak was acting up again, she intentionally wants to compete. She always pulls this. When she does not get exactly what she wants, she voluntarily backs down, but this time is totally different. Chloe was about to analyze the pros and cons, but Lucy simply raised a hand. Get out, now stick with me here. Down in the business department, Mason was packing up his things. His once cluttered workspace was packed, but as he started clearing it out, he realized almost everything belonged to the company. The only things that were actually his were a water cup and a cheap box of drip coffee. He casually tossed them into the trash, using his. He turns the key, pulling a single document from the drawer, something he had requested from his brother ages ago, way before this whole engagement mess began. A brand new project, a special gift prepared just for Lucy, but right now completely useless. He shoves the paper into the shredder, watching it get ripped to shreds. The sales team walks over, looking totally confused. Director Mason, why throw out your cup? He smiles. I resigned. New director will be taking over soon. Honestly, I hate those overly dramatic goodbyes. No need to see me out. With that, Mason walks toward the elevator, but right around the corner, he spots Ethan in a custom-tailored suit, waiting by the doors like a total smug jerk. His eyes are full of absolute arrogant victory. Mason, you finally lost, so what if you have a rich family? Big deal if you look good. You stood by Lucy for years and now you are just trash she threw away. Now you face the pathetic reality of getting kicked out. Mason just stares right back at Ethan. You and I both know time changes people. Just look at Ethan. Or Lucy, did you wait here just to gloat? Sure, I lost, but I didn't lose to you. The truth. He only lost to Lucy's massive ego and inherent flaws. She loved the convenience his rich status brought her, but honestly it made her feel entirely useless, like a fragile silk flower that could only ever truly depend on Mason, so she started pushing Ethan upward instead, accepting his fake gentleness calmly. She deliberately used Ethan to counter Mason's power, looking down on him from a higher pedestal, that so-called life-saving grace, just a convenient excuse to dodge his questions, trapped in her own twisted logic. She loves nobody but herself. As for losing to another man, Mason has absolutely nothing to say. He stares at Ethan standing before him. We are basically watching a messy scene from the past unfold, pure manipulation at its absolute finest. Mason says, "You graduated from a top university. You should have a seriously bright future ahead. Why waste your life on a woman who isn't worth it?" Ethan used to be a brilliant, hard-working kid, otherwise making it from a tiny, remote village all the way to the big city would be totally impossible. When did this kind of guy become seen everywhere as completely good-looking? Even the assistants knew the board had already fired those previous workers. Ethan just couldn't handle the pressure anymore. Has he not realized his huge mistake? During his time with the Lancaster family, he never improved at all. Honestly, he went completely backwards. Even his razor-sharp academic skills had totally fallen apart. If Lucy actually cared about him, he wouldn't be just a mere punching bag, useless and weak. Ethan's face instantly stiffens up. His expression turns incredibly ugly. "Mason, it is just us here. Who exactly are you trying to fool with this whole nice guy routine? You are the young master of the Miller family. With them backing you up, you can stand on that high horse and treat me like dirt, because no matter how many mistakes you actually make, someone will always protect you. But what about me? I have absolutely nothing. I have to fight and grab whatever I can without shame. Besides, you are the one leaving this family. I do not need your fake pity. I know exactly what I want. Good luck after leaving." "All right, stick with me here." Outside the Lancaster building, our guy waited under a shady tree. Before long, a blindingly red Ferrari pulled right up to the curb. His buddy Wyatt, sitting in the driver's seat, pulled off his sunglasses and waved him over. "Hey, handsome, waiting for someone. Hop in for a ride, little bro." Our MC opened the passenger door and slid right in. "Bad mood. Let's hit the mall and blow off some steam." Wyatt didn't ask a single question. He just tossed those sunglasses into the back seat, turned into an absolute speed demon, and hit the gas hard. The guy sat up straight, gripping the handle tight. Time to move on. They hit the mall and basically shopped until they dropped. His mood definitely way better now. Afterwards, they treated Wyatt to hot pot. His friend dropped some fresh beef tripe onto his plate. "Talk to me. What the heck?" Since sophomore year, pretty much everything in his closet was dark. He was completely sealed off, living like a total monk. "Why the sudden wardrobe upgrade today?" He chewed his food and explained softly, "I used to dress like that just to match Lucy's taste. That's no longer needed now." Wyatt just snorted. That reputation of university goddess Sophia is truly well-deserved. You two just got engaged, and she's already done so much for you, cured your years of obsessive love sickness. He leaned in a little closer, covering his mouth like a gossip. "How far have you guys progressed? How is she? Is she a C or an E?" He was right in the middle of swallowing, and Wyatt's insane words almost made him choke. "Could you please not sound like a total creep? Sophia and I have absolutely nothing going on. Stop spouting nonsense. People will think we're massive perverts." But his buddy Wyatt, ever the drama king, reacted even harder than he did. "Sophia literally posted your whole marriage certificate on social media, and you still claim there's nothing between you two. Are you telling me that after tying the knot, you two plan to live totally separate? How is that different from becoming an actual monk? We haven't even discussed that yet. I hardly know her. Living together like this is super weird. It's already crazy that two people who barely even know Each other got hitched so fast, it's way weirder for total strangers to just start living together. Honestly, Wyatt really couldn't tell who was acting like the bigger idiot in this situation. Living apart after marriage, isn't this basically just broadcasting to the world that your marriage is completely fake? Our guy stared at the chopsticks in his hand, totally zoning out. Wyatt's brutal question actually stumped him. Yeah, Sophia's first marriage. Wasn't it just to reassure her sick grandma and demanding business partners? If people found out they lived apart, wouldn't this be a massive fail? He looked right at Wyatt with a completely blank expression, but living together without acting like a real married couple is pretty much the same problem. It's so embarrassing to even bring this up out loud. Wyatt stared at him with a mix of heavy disappointment and frustration. Obviously, Sophia cannot bring this up herself. You need to step up and guide her, give her a little nudge. He was just about to ask Wyatt to explain that when a sudden message popped up on his phone. It was from Sophia, the exact girl they were just talking about. Are you off work? You didn't drive today. I will come pick you up. He glanced at the time, 12 p.m. She must have just finished work and texted him immediately. I have already settled the whole issue with the Lancaster family. I'm having lunch with Wyatt. He will drive me. I will be home later. Have fun and text me when you get back safely. He stared at Sophia's text messages for a long time. So not all women were cold and clueless. Even a rich CEO like Sophia noticed he didn't drive himself home. Is that inconvenient? Friends usually make sure you get back in one piece. They remind each other, but when he was sick, did he drive himself for an IV? Yes, he went alone for an IV drip, dead of night. Meanwhile, what did Lucy do? His ex Lucy literally abandoned him by the road to catch a taxi. What was the point of all those nights waiting at home? You and I know he had been completely blind. Now he is unemployed. Wyatt still had a whole company to run, taking the morning off to chill with our MC was his absolute limit. So after lunch, Wyatt drops him straight home, back to the office to slave away, Wyatt told him. Soon after, he sent Sophia a quick text with a picture of his cactus. The caption simply read, "Arrived safely home, feels good to be back." Sophia replied to the picture, saying she loves cacti. Our guy admitted he hated other plants. This prickly one was his only true survivor. He tried growing plenty of green plants, even famously unkillable ones like pothos and hyacinths, but nope, he wiped out 3 beginner-friendly breeds, only this tough little cactus survived. He regretted texting that immediately. In the past, he had kept potted plants in Lucy's office for 3 whole years. Eventually, she permanently banned him from touching anything green in her room. He suddenly worried Sophia was secretly judging him. Sophia texted back, "Is it really that impressive? I actually have a strong urge to hire you for our rival company. You wouldn't even need to do actual work. Just go there and kill their money trees." He laughed. "Thanks, Sophia. Are you free anytime soon? Remember that game we talked about right after we got our marriage certificate? Well, today is launch day. If you have time, we can start tonight. If not, 2 days late works too. I have time, we can start tonight. What do you need to prepare?" Sophia stood by the massive floor-to-ceiling windows of her grand CEO office, staring at his text message. A small smile, she slowly typed back, "No need to prepare a single thing. I have all the equipment ready. Just show up. I will pick you up at 6. He agreed, but he wanted to make one thing clear. Right off the bat, he really hated playing games. Sophia confidently stepped into the gaming trench. "I am here, don't worry." While our MC spent the next few days in the gaming event, Lucy was having a total nightmare. After he finally resigned, Lucy's stubborn pride flared up big time. To prove she could manage the business perfectly fine without him, she listed every single backup asset, house and car for sale. She was desperate for cash, spending her entire day trying to raise funds, contacting buyers, but everyone just exploited the situation to completely rip her off. Complete failure. Not a single item sold that entire day. Initially, her friend K.H. Lowe wanted to contact Wyatt, hoping he would buy those properties and cars at market price right away. The girls planned to buy them back once they had capital. After all, Wyatt and the MC are super close. Once he and Lucy got married, wouldn't all her family assets belong to him anyway? Helping them out is basically helping himself. Surprisingly, Wyatt didn't even give KH Lowe a single chance to speak up. KH Lowe was furious. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have made things so tense with him in the first place. Lucy didn't even have a private way to contact our guy, and everyone else in the company had already left work. All right, stick with me here. Chloe checks the time but spots a push notification. God tier. Sophia and her husband's sweet gaming stream. Chloe holds a coffee cup. Doubt flashes across her face. Wait, Sophia Smith, didn't that girl retire from the esports scene? She skims the text and clicks right into the attached video. No face cam for the streamer, but even through all the chaotic gunfire, it's definitely Sophia playing. Her actual gameplay looks pretty basic, but she breaks everything down in insane detail, totally patient, no annoyance at all. Then right at the end of the clip, she softly asks, "Do you remember?" A familiar, warm guy's voice chimes in. I remember. The second Chloe hears that voice, she totally chokes. Coffee goes straight down the wrong pipe, violent coughing. She panics. That sounded exactly like Mason. No, she must be hearing things. The next video in the post is another stream, but from the guy's perspective. It's a pretty long clip. He barely talks at all, just drops a few sentences. Really? Thanks, got a smoke grenade. Vision is blocked ahead, so just follow me. I'm not great at this. Grab smoke grenades in crowded areas. Much easier to escape safely. Wait a second, isn't the whole point of this battle royale to be the last one standing? Your first time getting a win, just those handful of words. Chloe loops the audio over and over, and the more she listens, the more it absolutely sounds like Mason. But how is that even possible? That girl is Sophia Smith. Mason and Sophia have zero ties to each other, nothing at all. Plus, looking at pure family status, the Miller family and the Smith family are complete opposites. The Smiths would definitely be keeping a very close eye on Mason. Chloe starts trembling, unable to stop. She reflects on all the recent drama. She got completely ignored, dropping off the guest list at the Miller estate. Mason vanished for days and flat out ignored Lucy when she called him on engagement day. Mason knew Lucy was returning, and despite that, he went ahead with the party anyway. Bailaid without her, completely refused to stall the Lewis family, and just quit his job with the Lancaster family. Without a single hesitation. On their own, these actions just looked like petty tantrums. But put together, you and I know something's seriously wrong. Mason was obsessed with Lucy. Chloe used to be jealous, but he had never lashed out like this before. Plus, Mason never let his personal feelings mess with his professional life. He never dragged drama into the office. Yet this time, the Lewis family had a massive crisis, and he fully refused to help them out. With things blowing up like this, is he really just throwing a fit? Chloe suddenly feels totally sick to her stomach. Swallowing hard, she glares at the screen. She has to tell Lucy about this right now. Chloe spins around, gripping her phone, and freezes. A bunch of junior assistants in the CEO office had already been fired. The lights in the main area are blazing, but the place is a total ghost town. The boss's door is cracked open. We can faintly hear Lucy in there, totally sulking. Chloe marches straight in and shoves the video in her face. Lucy's expression goes from pale white to furious red. Why are you showing me this? You think this guy is actually Mason? Lucy sneers. He's been chasing after me for over 10 years now. He was finally about to marry me. Why would I ever let him go? That is absolutely impossible. Chloe just stares at Lucy, fingers practically snapping her phone in half. All right, you and I can see the panic. Gripping the armrest, Chloe never said Mason. But she didn't dare say that to Lucy's face. She nervously claimed she just clicked. On the next video, she told Lucy the mysterious Mr. Smith couldn't possibly be Mason. But his voice sounded exactly like him. She begged Lucy to just watch the footage. And it wasn't just the voice. The guy played exactly like a total gaming noob. Identical, Lucy took a sharp breath, her fingertips visibly trembling as she played the clip. This time, her eyes were completely glued to the screen. She desperately wanted to drag that man in the white suit away. Lucy analyzed every single step he took on screen. Watching closely, she saw him toss a flashbang, followed by 2 heavy grenades. Clearing the path with smoke, he excitedly told Sophia it was his first big win. A total rookie, Lucy coldly delivered her final verdict. That is definitely not Mason. Chloe just looked confused as Lucy casually tossed the phone right onto the desk. She swiped the screen, exiting out of the social media app, then she saw it. Now here is where you and I get answers. Who is Miss Smith's mysterious husband? A blogger listed recent corporate partners, complete with solid evidence and screening results. In the end, Wyatt and Michael were the top suspects. Wyatt was way more active, grabbing the most votes online. Michael was super low-key, trailing by a few thousand votes. You could see Lucy suddenly regain her confidence, her tense posture totally relaxed now. She knew it couldn't be Mason. Chloe grabbed her phone and shared the viral article. She told Lucy she watched the gaming video twice from start to finish. It clicked. Muttering quietly, she agreed Mason and Sophia were totally impossible, plus that weird voice. Definitely wasn't Mason, and it sounded absolutely nothing like the famous musician Wyatt either. Tapping her fingers on the desk, Lucy made her guess. It just had to be Michael. He studied abroad back in high school and lived entirely off the grid since returning. Almost zero public appearances, but here is the thing, his family and the Smiths. Old friends. If Sophia wanted a quick arranged marriage, the odds pointed straight to Michael. Chloe still felt something was seriously off about this, but she just could not explain. Why? Probably overthinking it. Lucy completely ignored Chloe's endless nagging anyway. Grabbing her coat, she marched straight to the door. She wanted to see if Mason was home. When Lucy finally snapped back to reality, she was already standing right at his doorstep. Staring blankly at his front doorbell, her trembling hand hovered right over the small button. She raised her hand again and again, but she just could not bring herself to press it. If she pressed it, she would be the one bowing her head in defeat. Why should she surrender? Mason liked her way more. He had chased her for a decade. She had already agreed to marry him. What more could that guy possibly want now? Lucy let out a foolish laugh. Mason was the one ignoring all of her calls. He wanted the breakup. He resigned. If she bowed her head today, he would just become way more arrogant and completely ungrateful later on. No way, not happening. Lucy suddenly withdrew her hand, turned right around, and marched back to her own house. Something was definitely wrong. She felt feverish. Moving in an absolute daze, she slowly opened her nightstand drawer, trying to dig out a small box of basic fever-reducing medicine. She opened it only to realize it was completely empty from the last time. Mason had been busy prepping their engagement before things went sour, so he never restocked it. No medicine left. Lucy frowned deeply, casually tossing the useless empty box straight into the trash bin. Are you and I about to see her collapse? A dizzy wave hit her. All right, look at this. Completely lightheaded, she slumped down, leaning heavily against the railing. Her head was totally spinning. Honestly, she didn't even realize when she finally blacked out. Just collapsed right there. Lucy frowned in pure pain, slowly lifting her shaking hand up. A massive headache. It took forever for her to finally flutter her heavy eyes open. First thing she saw, a masked nurse. She was already hooked up to an IV drip inside a private room, and besides her, totally empty. Nobody else was sitting in the room, only. The nurse noticed her looking around and explained, "The friend who brought you in here went out to get you some food, low sugar, high calorie stuff." Hearing this, Lucy pursed her pale lips. The person who brought her here went out to get food. A sudden, brilliant spark of hope flashed in her eyes. She passed out at home. It absolutely had to be Mason who found her. He pretended to ignore her calls. threatening to break up, but still sneaked into her house in the dead of night. Deep down, he definitely still had feelings for her. He was obviously just putting on an act to force her to apologize. Otherwise, how could he possibly have found her? Passed out on the floor, thinking about this, Lucy felt her dark mood finally lifting. Things were definitely looking up. A tiny, proud smile crept onto her face right then. Her mind was totally made up. She just waited for him to bring the food. If he apologized nicely, she would act like this whole fight never happened. The wedding would proceed exactly as planned, and the massive business director position at Lancaster would still be his. But watch this. While she daydreamed, K.H. Lowe walked through the door, holding takeout food. "Sister Lucy, you are awake. You literally scared me half to death yesterday. Luckily, I was paying close attention. I noticed you looked sick at the company, so I intentionally followed you home. If I had not, things could have been awful." K.H. Lowe kept rambling, completely unaware that her boss's expression was turning insanely dark. She looked absolutely furious, practically radiating pure venom right now. Finally, K.H. Lowe caught on. Lucy was mad again. She gripped her takeout spoon, groaning internally. Seriously, why was Sister Lucy always so incredibly impossible to please lately? Did she bring her to a bad hospital? Suddenly, Lucy pushed herself up, sitting. K.H. Lowe stared at her, totally confused. What about him? Did Mason really not show up? K.H. Lowe froze for a second, then started stuttering. "Mason does not know you are unwell." Yeah, that was the truth. K.H. Lowe secretly felt Mason was getting super unpredictable. Honestly, even if he knew Lucy had a fever, he probably still would not show up, but she dared not say that out loud. She just kept quiet to pacify Lucy. Instantly, Lucy's face looked slightly better. He was just busy, right? Always. Incredibly disciplined. Since she got home early yesterday, he was probably just resting up. He just did not know. Otherwise, with his resources, he would have totally flown right over here ages ago. Suddenly, Lucy reached over and violently ripped out her IV. Grabbing her jacket, she completely ignored the blood dripping down her arm. So dramatic. She stormed right out. Before leaving, she snatched a cooling patch off the table. K.H. Lowe just watched her, seriously wondering if the fever had driven her boss insane. Heading to the office now, total madness. It would only make her sick condition worse. Honestly, making zero sense. Who was even going to pity or help her out now? A massive 100 million yuan deficit, completely unfillable. Mason used to handle all this. He was such a great trader. K.H. Lowe sighed heavily, rushing to match Lucy's fast pace. Inside the car, Lucy slumped in the back seat, slapping on that cooling patch. "All right, watch this." Lucy slapped the patch on her forehead's most obvious spot. She knew every single department in this company had its own little gossip circle. Mason had a few of them saved, and she'd caught him secretly reading those group chats. He didn't know she was sick. Fine, she was about to give him a show. She already set the stage. If he wanted to act tough and refuse to back down, turning back wouldn't be easy later. Patch applied, Lucy finally picked up her phone and fired up Weibo. She didn't even have to search. Those posts about Sophia Smith were literally everywhere. 2 fresh trending topics popped up. Right after yesterday's massive drama, Wyatt had personally stepped up to deny those wild rumors. Wait, Sophia's mysterious husband was actually someone else. Suddenly, an old childhood photo of Sophia and Michael blew up online, and fans went absolutely crazy shipping them. Lucy already knew there was no way in hell Wyatt was Sophia's husband, so she tapped straight into the second trending post. Apparently, some rich kid who went to kindergarten with Sophia had leaked a picture of them as kids. He even posted photos and videos showing him and Michael as young MC trainees. Wyatt had killed the rumors fast, and internet polls were just getting fired up. Then, get this, a rich heir drops the real truth about Sophia. The internet collectively agreed he was definitely talking about that one specific guy. Wow, Sophia's secret husband was none other than Michael all along. Almost overnight, the web was absolutely flooded With comments hardshipping the two, the Ming Group was a total powerhouse domestically, so. A marriage alliance with the Smith family, that's a serious corporate power move. Lucy casually swiped through a couple of the trending comments. Finally, the knot in her chest untangled, closing out of Weibo. She opened her chat app. Her inbox was absolutely overflowing with unread messages, mostly from Ethan, total boring nonsense. She swiped past them without a second thought. Searching for Mason's chat at the very bottom, nothing, crickets, ever since he left town for Shanghai. He hadn't texted her once. Lucy just stared blankly at his weird tooth-shaped profile picture. Down in the parking lot, she made a calculated move, skipping the private executive elevator straight from the basement. Instead, she took the long way around, right through the main lobby. Lancaster's front desk was fully staffed by young receptionists, and you know how. With the easy hours and front row seats, this desk was the absolute epicenter of all Lancaster corporate gossip. If they saw something, anything at all, it was guaranteed to spread through the whole building in under 30 minutes. So with that painfully obvious cooling patch on her forehead, Lucy strolled slowly past the desk, and right on cue before the elevator doors shut, she caught the receptionists whispering about her. "Wait, is CEO Lucy wearing a fever patch? Is she sick? I've been working here for over 2 years, and this is the absolute first time I've seen her get sick. Mason quitting must be a huge deal. It's obviously hitting CEO Lucy pretty hard right now." Of course, they grew up together. Obviously, random newbies who joined halfway through could never compete with that bond. Honestly, I totally get why Mason left, but CEO Lucy looks so pitiful right now. Overhearing this, Lucy rode up to the top floor, completely satisfied. Her little hospital stunt worked perfectly. Ethan and assistant Sam were already there, but without extra help on deck. Poor Sam was running around like an absolute madman. Honestly, they completely missed the exact moment Lucy actually showed up, and Ethan, he just stood there, doing zero work. Khlo frowned as she watched his lazy, relaxed attitude. She used to think Ethan was this gentle, perfect guy. Mason is 1,000. No, 10,000 times better than this cold guy who ruins the mood, she thought. After Ethan ruined everything, she finally started to realize Mason's true value. They went to the exact same university up in northern Beijing. But Mason's sheer talent and vision completely wiped the floor with Ethan. Mason could actually pave the way for Lucy's career. Sure, Ethan looked all gentle and obedient, but the guy was nothing more than a parasite, desperately clinging to Lucy to suck her dry. Still, respecting Lucy's current feelings, Khlo kept her mouth shut. Ethan noticed them walking up and immediately put on a concerned face. "Sister Lucy, are you sick? How bad is it?" Lucy's dark expression softened just a little bit. "I am fine, just stressed out today." Not wanting to deal with his nonsense, she completely ignored him, walking straight into her office. Ethan stood watching her walk away. Her cold attitude clearly disappointed him, but he quickly snapped back to reality, recovering his composure. He grabbed the little lunchbox he had prepared and carried it right into her office. "Honestly, you and I know Lucy hates boxed lunches. She feels the taste gets completely ruined if it sits around," but her stomach was hurting. To protect her health, Mason had actually arranged for someone to always stay on standby in the CEO rest area, a small, private kitchenette separate from the main rooms. Mason used to brag that he cooked for her an hour early every day. Sure, Ethan had been sticking by Lucy's side for a while, even walking right through her front door, yet Mason was the only guy allowed in that kitchen. Ethan bringing this lunchbox today was a subtle threat. If Mason stops cooking for her, plenty of others will happily step up. Ethan knew perfectly well she hated food that spoils easily at room temperature, so he purposely made a fresh, cold fruit and vegetable salad. Ethan eagerly marched his carefully crafted lunchbox right inside. He immediately spotted Lucy standing by her desk, completely lost in her own thoughts. Right in front of her sat something incredibly childish, a seriously cheap crystal pendant. Last time, Lucy smashed that thing to pieces in pure rage, but now it was glued back. Together, Ethan gripped the lunchbox so hard his fingertips turned totally white. He squeezed it, practically using all his strength. A look of deep, burning jealousy flashed in his eyes, but instantly a gentle fake smile appeared. "Sister Lucy, you haven't eaten yet, right? I made this salad just for you. Please try it and see how it tastes." Meanwhile, news about the general manager stepping down and the boss showing up sick to work. Those wild rumors were spreading like absolute fire in the corporate group chats. Down in finance, a young guy spotted the frantic messages popping up. He let out a goofy laugh, quickly grabbed his phone and made a call. "I have amazing news to report to you. Stick with me here." The alarm clock finally rings. If Mason was at home, he definitely would have stayed in bed a while longer, but sleeping in too late at Sophia's house just felt way too rude. He opened his eyes, staring. "All right, let us dive in." Mason stared at the ceiling, snapping out of his daze. He opened the green bubble app to check his coworkers' messages. Surprisingly, the business department chat was still unblocked. The messages were absolutely flying by at insane speeds. Curious, Mason clicked it. One colleague wrote, "I just got water and I heard the next department talking about the esteemed young master of the Miller family being forced out by Ethan, a total country bumpkin, dumb as a toddler. I am so angry. Ignore those fools. They are just deeply jealous of our past achievements. We were living the good life when Director Mason was here. I hate thinking about the project that Director Mason discontinued. Without him, they get nothing. Ungrateful jerks. Honestly, this just makes me sad. I feel totally insecure without Mason protecting us. Why was not Ethan the guy who fired instead?" Meanwhile, the receptionist mentioned CEO Lucy showed up today with a fever patch on her forehead. "I wonder if it is because of Mason leaving. Hopefully, CEO Lucy and Mason can end their little Cold War soon." Then someone added, "I am not sure if I should say this. Did anyone watch the stream? I think Goddess Sophia and her mysterious vibe last night happened for another reason. Honestly, her husband and his voice sounded exactly like Director Mason. Impossible. Others might be completely clueless, but our sales team has not heard a single thing. How much does Mason adore CEO Lucy? There is absolutely no way he would move on this fast." Get this, seeing them gossip about him and Lucy, Mason felt completely embarrassed. His dark romantic past was being dragged up again. Did they totally forget he was in the chat? Mason quietly exited the group message and went to wash his face. As for whether Lucy actually went to work sick, he had already completely forgotten about it. He thought he woke up early, but surprisingly, Sophia was already incredibly busy. In the kitchen, breakfast was basically ready. Hearing his footsteps, she turned her head. "Breakfast is ready. Limited skills, so please do not complain." During the meal, Mason really wanted to ask her a question. Why did she not ask Michael when she needed this fake marriage setup? But every single time he tried to speak, he quietly swallowed his words. Sophia, however, saw right through all of his hesitation. She gave him the perfect chance to ask boldly, "Go ahead, ask me whatever you want." Mason stopped chewing entirely, staring at her with wide eyes. Could this woman actually read minds? He wondered. She did not elaborate, just offering a very gentle reminder, "You have exactly 3 minutes. Staying silent means you waive your chance to ask anything at all." Mason carefully weighed his words and finally asked her, "You and Michael grew up together. When you desperately needed someone to fake a marriage, why not pick Michael?" Sure, Mason was the one who was drunk and approached her first, but she had every reason to refuse him. He had zero other choices, but she had plenty of backup options. Looking back, Mason still felt like he was dreaming about what happened that wild night. She easily signed a prenup that gave her absolutely zero benefits. Was she not afraid he was just a gold digger trying to exploit her wealth? Sophia thought for a brief moment and answered carefully, "I am actually not close with Michael. We were just kindergarten Classmates, nothing more. As for why I chose you, if I said that night was not a coincidence, would you believe it? Meanwhile, up in the CEO office on the top floor of Lancaster Group, our guy Ethan stood holding his lunchbox, completely ignored and let us dive right in. He stood frozen, staring at the woman behind the desk. Looking absolutely pitiful, Lucy tightly gripped the broken doll in her hands. She stared hard at the phone on her desk. Her expression was completely dark. Half an hour gone, still zero news. Taking a huge breath, Lucy grabbed K.H. Lowe's phone. Without saying a word, she opened up the green bubble app. Time to message the business department. But before she could even hit send, suddenly the office door swung wide open. Lucy looked up and froze. It was Felix, her old childhood friend, a fellow financial manager, and honestly her biggest rival. For the entire family business, him showing up right now, definitely bad news. K.H. Lowe immediately spoke up. Hey, did nobody ever teach the deputy manager how to knock on a door? Felix just held his file, completely unfazed. I heard CEO Lucy got sick over Director Mason's mess. I just came to check in, hearing that. Exact name, Director Mason. Lucy practically saw red. If looks could kill, he would be ashes. This guy was absolutely fanning the flames of her anger. That snake Felix was clearly plotting something nasty. A visible vein popped on Lucy's forehead. You saw me, now get out. But Felix was not intimidated at all. Stepping right up, he smirked. Let me get a good look at you. Looking pretty energetic. Seems that wound is almost healed. He patted his chest in a super mocking way. Now I can rest easy. He shoved the documents right out. This is the project we won the bid on. Sign it, please. Lucy snatched the document from him. Wait, this was the exact project they visited in Shanghai last time. A proposal needing $1.5 billion in funding. Compensating the Lewis family was urgent, but where the heck was she getting $1.5 billion right now? He was the financial guy. Did he honestly think they had that cash? Lucy slammed the file shut. This project was not supposed to start for 2 whole months. Felix put on a fake innocent face. Are you getting impatient? Is it because the boss is worried? Actually, he just called me, so I rushed over. Lucy and K.H. Lowe both froze completely. Felix stared at her with piercing eyes. Wait, the old man actually bypassed them entirely and called Felix. He definitely knows all about the Miller family drama. That guy is totally ruthless. So now that he knows they hit a massive roadblock, the fallout is going to be absolutely insane. Felix just reached out, sliding that giant stack of documents closer to her. CEO Lucy, sign it, since she took over the entire Lancaster family. This was her first real humiliation, right to her actual face. But the worst part, his logic was completely flawless, and with the boss still pulling the strings, she realized they could not do a single thing. Furious, Lucy flipped the file open, grabbed her pen, and aggressively signed it. She tossed it right back. Take your stuff and get out. A completely cold smile crept onto his face. CEO Lucy, you really need to chill out. Listen closely, things are about to change for the Lancaster family. She was backing the Miller family's second young master. Her stance was rock solid. But she just had to cause drama, and now she created an absolute massive disaster. Felix scoffed loudly, turning his head to look right at Ethan, who stood frozen in the corner, face totally pale, just trying to turn invisible. He raised his hand, flashing a thumbs up without a second thought. Those two brothers are truly talented. The Miller and Lancaster marriage, completely ruined. And just one agreement, completely destroyed Lucy's partnership with the Lewis family. Felix walked away, but suddenly remembered that wild Weibo post he had just seen. He turned right back, leaning in close to Lucy's ear to whisper a little reminder. Do not blame your brother for not warning you. Check Weibo, my place got robbed. Why act so arrogant? After he left, pure anger and anxiety flooded right through Lucy's heart. A country wedding, absolutely impossible. How on earth could Mason marry someone else? Right then, Chloe walked over with her phone in hand. her voice shaking violently. Sister Lucy, it is true. Mason and Sophia actually got married. Lucy just stared at the photo on the screen. It was a disgustingly cute picture of Mason and Sophia. All the comments and likes on that Weibo post came from the company's official account. She felt like the entire world was laughing at her mind an absolute mess. She could not believe it. Chloe hesitated before speaking up. Sister Lucy, Wyatt also posted. On Weibo, it is fully confirmed. She didn't want to believe it, but pure logic told her it was true. Mason, the guy who used to love her with everything, had actually married another woman. Lucy felt like she had just dropped straight into an ice cave. She slumped weakly against the desk. Her whole world completely collapsed in that single moment. Seeing that Weibo post, Mason's proposal scene suddenly flashed right back into her mind. That massive field of wild buck roses, those were actually her absolute favorite flowers, simple but passionate, exactly like him. It was all just a massive setup to cater to her tastes back then. That bold red color, she never saw it again. Did it ever appear in his life? Let us take a closer look at that day. She had not even connected the dots right away, even on their originally planned engagement day. Those flowers were all white roses, her favorite, and she still remembered Sophia's Weibo post. Those exact roses were right there too. She owns a whole rose farm full of deer, she suddenly recalled. Lucy gripped her phone, her fingertips trembling. Considering the deer theme for the engagement, it was highly likely that Sophia planted them herself. The past was suddenly looking a lot more clear to her. It sent a brutal chill straight down her spine. All these years, Sophia was everywhere. She was smart, it was all for Mason. Sophia had her eyes on him for a very long time, lurking in the shadows, just waiting for this exact, perfect day. Thinking about this insane setup, Lucy felt another freezing chill run right down her spine. Having a rival like Sophia, that was honestly terrifying. Looking at the 9 photos on Weibo, from the moment they started makeup straight to the very end of the engagement, every single step was fully documented, and the date that Weibo post was published matched perfectly too. Lucy's eyes were glued right to the person in the middle, Mason and Sophia, looking at each other. Even through the phone screen, she could feel Sophia's deep obsession for him. Lucy just sneered. No wonder Mason did not wait for her to come back. No wonder he ignored all her calls and texts. Resigned so confidently, Mason had already planned a perfect escape route. Lucy felt a cold gust of air freeze her heart. Her limbs stiffened, speaking firmly. I am going to see him. She needed to talk to Mason face to face. Clear everything up right now. She stormed toward the door, leaving behind a furious, gritting Ethan in the shadows. Now let us check on Mason, chilling out in his car. Mason watched the cars blur past the window. Sophia's words were still echoing in his mind. If I told you that night wasn't a coincidence, would you believe it? Now, Mason totally misread what she meant here. He totally missed the point of her sentence. Seriously, because if Wyatt wasn't in Paris that day, Mason would never have hit that bar alone. Right, he picked that spot completely at random. How wasn't it a total coincidence? But while he was deep in thought, his phone buzzed. A strange text popped up. Lucy knows about the wedding. Mason, I'm coming for you. Mason glanced outside, spotting the massive Lancaster group building. A heavy feeling hit him. Clearly, Ethan wasn't helping him out of pure kindness. The guy just wanted to stop him from bumping into Lucy. But they were already rolling up to the Lancaster building. A showdown was basically guaranteed. Mason didn't even want to hide anyway. He tied the knot fair and square. Why run from his crazy ex-girlfriend like he was doing something wrong? Plus, this was the perfect chance to seize and make everything crystal clear with Lucy. One final goodbye to 10 whole years of his youth. But right as he turned to break the news to Sophia, bam, another car brutally cut them off. The harsh braking jerked them forward. Thank goodness for seat belts, right? Sophia immediately looked at Mason. In pure panic, he shook his head. He was fine. Now KH Lo knew Lucy was losing it, but you and I didn't expect this level of crazy. She ripped the wheel and crashed straight into Sophia's ride. Thank God Sophia was driving slow, or this could have been fatal. The absolute second Mason saw Lucy step out of the wreckage, he knew, a sickening, icy tingling. Shock washed over his entire body. Absolute, blazing fury erupted inside him. She just nearly killed Sophia, just picturing his wife getting crushed by a car, Mason's logic completely vanished into thin air. A massive wave of pure rage took over. He ripped off his seat belt, kicked the door wide open, and stormed out of the vehicle. He screamed with everything he had, "Lucy Lancaster, are you completely out of your mind? Do you realize a crash could kill 3 people here if she hit them harder, if Sophia got hurt?" Mason just couldn't even stomach the thought. Sophia suddenly stepped up behind him without him even noticing. She gently grabbed his hand. Khlo basically collapsed straight onto the pavement in fear. Ignoring all grace, Lucy dragged herself closer, seeing Mason and Sophia locking hands. She looked totally pathetic but utterly furious. Khlo silently prayed, "Please stop flexing your romance in front of Miss Lucy. She is literally more chaotic than a wild animal right now." And yep, this very next second, Lucy's crazy eyes locked onto Mason and Sophia's faces. Then she zeroed right in on their holding hands. Like an absolute maniac, she flew into a blind rage. Sophia Smith unhand him. Sophia just stared at the completely unhinged Lucy standing there. "CEO Lucy, I am holding my own husband's hand. You're an outsider. I definitely don't need your permission here." That word, husband, struck Lucy's absolute weakest nerve. Her eyes went blood red, looking like a demon straight from hell itself, completely shattering her usual icy, calculated female CEO persona. "Your husband? He is obviously my fiancé. How the hell is he your husband?" Two luxury cars blocking a crowded downtown street immediately attracted plenty of curious onlookers, backing up traffic, but Mason refused to be treated like some performing monkey. Pride mattered here. He genuinely cared about protecting both the Miller family and the Smith family's reputation, so he just stared at Lucy standing right there. He closed his eyes, took a breath, and said, "Lucy Lancaster, considering all those years we shared together, there are honestly some things I held back because they are too harsh, but you desperately need some self-awareness. Remember the first time you met Assistant Sam? The rumor was that you flew to Shanghai just for Ethan. That sickening feeling of not being able to leave his own engagement party, and the absolute humiliation of being stood up countless times." A cold hint of rage crept into Mason's voice. "Our entire relationship, from the very second you abandoned me for Ethan, was permanently severed, completely shut down and delisted from the market. If you have a single shred of shame left, just walk away." After speaking, Mason squeezed Sophia's hand tight. With absolute ice, he added, "Besides, Sophia is the woman I am engaged to, my future legal wife. I really hope you show her some actual respect from now on." Hearing this, Lucy just stood there, shaking from head to toe. "But I told you, Ethan cut his wrists. A human life is at stake here. Why can't you be more sympathetic toward me?" Mason actually found this hilarious. He cut his wrists. Does the guy not have parents to call? And even if he doesn't, his own brother can step in, right? It is not your job to play savior. You canceled our engagement for him. Mason rarely spoke this brutally, but he was completely fed up with the sheer audacity of these two. "Are you a doctor, a nurse? If he really wanted to end it all, by the time you rush all the way from Beijing, his body would already be freezing. A guy slashing his wrists to check out early, please. By the time you arrive, his so-called deadly wounds would have already healed up perfectly. Now, you and I have to wonder, did Lucy seriously not understand this manipulation? Maybe she missed it once, twice, even 3 times, but countless times, Lucy heard his absolute undeniable accusations, completely exposed, but she kept fighting back. "And you, and Sophia getting engaged. did you ever bother to tell me about your official girlfriend? Mason let out a dry laugh. Oh, Lucy, when you appointed Ethan as your personal secretary, did you ask my opinion, buying him a house? Brand new car, did you ask me before wiring that cash? Mason shook his head with a brutally stern face. No, you didn't even tell me you were skipping our engagement. I only found out after you boarded that plane, so yeah, I replaced my fiancé. Why on earth should I tell you? His engagement to Sophia was never a secret anyway. If Lucy had cared about Mason even a tiny bit back then, she wouldn't just be finding out today. So, who exactly are you trying to impress with these fake feelings? With every word Mason dropped, Lucy's shoulders slumped a little more. Mason, you were never like this before. He was speechless. What was he like before? Always putting Lucy first, no matter what. So naturally, she treated him like an absolute doormat. Ethan plotted, bullied him, set traps, and here we go again, Lucy desperately clinging to the moral high ground. On the ground, she accused him of changing. Mason suddenly realized everything he said was a complete waste of breath. Lucy's insane arrogance entirely prevented her from understanding anything anyone else was trying to say. Losing all hope of getting through to her, he just grabbed his phone and called the cops. Hello, police station, I need to report an incident. He reported Lucy for intentional attempted murder. By the time he walked out of that police station, it was completely dark. Statements shouldn't take this long, but get this, the Smith family found out Mason and Sophia nearly died in a crash. Grandpa and Grandma Smith, they were the quickest to arrive, furiously demanding severe punishment for the culprit. At the station entrance, Mason stood right next to Sophia. The massive family group of relatives was there. He sighed. Mom, Grandma, I'm so sorry everyone. If it wasn't for me, none of this would have happened. The family would be totally at peace. Seeing his guilty expression, Grandma Smith immediately grabbed his hand. What are you saying? It is completely her fault, not yours at all. As she spoke, she glared right at Sophia. That girl has remarkably thick skin and strong bones. Getting bumped wouldn't even hurt her. Besides, did they accidentally crash into each other? Grandma Smith nodded in total agreement. The culprit is inside. Silly boy, stop blaming yourself. Thinking about Lucy. Mom Smith's perfectly drawn eyebrows twitched, but since no one was actually injured, and they didn't even wreck the cars, it's going to be incredibly difficult to convict her. She will probably make bail by tomorrow at the absolute latest. Grandma Smith scoffed. You don't say. I should have let her lightly hit Sophia then. Convicting her then would be totally justified. Plus, it would finally give Mason a chance to vent his frustration. Hearing this, Mason's eyes went totally wide in shock. He shook his head frantically. No need. Sophia hid right behind him. Grandma, do you even want your granddaughter alive? I waited so many years to finally get a husband. I don't want to die young. Grandpa Smith just shot her a glare. We want to invite Mason to the Maine estate for a few days. Knowing he had actually just survived a huge scare and was keeping quiet, the old man added gently, so your grandma and mom headed back first. You should come see us at the Maine estate in a couple of days. Mason immediately agreed. Absolutely. After watching their family car drive off, Sophia turned to face him. I will drive you back. He nodded. On the way home, he hesitated several times before speaking up. Today's events were just too obvious. I'm sorry. Sophia gripped the steering wheel tight, her intense dark eyes locked firmly on the road ahead. Do not apologize. This wasn't your fault. She paused. Seriously, and do not ask me to forgive her. Watching you call the cops right away, that made me happy. Honestly, the second the car was forced to stop, Sophia had been absolutely furious, not because she almost got hit, but simply because Mason was inside with her. Lucy's totally reckless stunt had compromised his physical safety. Stepping out of that vehicle, Sophia was fully ready to destroy Lucy. But this time Mason, normally so soft-hearted, took complete charge without any hesitation. Shielding her from the madness, that raw instinct to protect her, that sweet Feeling of being completely understood, it was amazing. Do you think what you did was normal? You and I both know Lucy's stunt was literal attempted murder. We cannot just let this slide because no one died. We are not letting her go this time. What if next time is worse? The law won't tolerate this, and he had already suffered enough from Lucy and Ethan's toxic moral blackmail. He wasn't going to let that slide. Our MC snapped his fingers, thinking back to those reckless words he yelled in pure anger. Don't you think what I said went too far? Sophia stopped the car, looking at him intently. Then she spoke. There's a Taoist saying, go with the flow, follow your heart. If they don't provoke you first, why scold them? We know that's crazy. He was completely stunned. It sounded pretty absurd. The car stopped at a red light. She glanced at him with sudden worry in her eyes. Arriving at his apartment building, Sophia led our guy straight upstairs. After unlocking the door, he asked her, do you want to come in and sit? Leaning lazily against the door frame, she actually rejected his invitation, but just as the door was closing, Sophia stopped it. She whispered his name. He pulled the door open, looking totally confused. She hesitated for a moment before asking, can you not stay here? But this isn't a rental. I bought it. Dropping that lazy vibe, she whispered back, but I really don't want you living here. He froze for a second, quickly putting together her real concerns. To Sophia, Lucy was genuinely dangerous. She absolutely did not want him staying there, and honestly, he wanted to avoid Lucy too, deciding to move out immediately despite having nowhere to go. You can stay at my place. She stared at him, her voice super calm, his shocked face reflecting in her eyes. I have plenty of rooms. You can take one like last night. I won't disturb your privacy. He agreed to her crazy proposal, almost without a single hesitation. Sophia immediately took charge. Can we move tomorrow? I will arrange for a moving team to help. He nodded, realizing that Lucy might actually be laid out soon. Moving out early was the best way to avoid her. After seeing Sophia off, he started organizing all his most important items, quickly preparing old clothes to donate, and even contacted a real estate agent to list the house for sale. He had zero intention of ever living there again. After finishing all that, he finally mustered up the courage to open social media and check the damage. He saw Sophia's viral videos were already scrubbed from the internet, and he breathed a huge sigh of relief. Sophia had suspended her live broadcasting due to personal reasons, dropping millions in red envelopes for her fans. This obviously sparked a massive, heated debate online. Meanwhile, a few random witnesses were also sharing what they saw. Attached were a few pictures. This quickly attracted major attention. The scene looked totally chaotic. The distance was pretty far and the photos were incredibly blurry. Fans mostly expressed sympathy for her temporary broadcasting break, constantly asking about her health. In response, Sophia actually replied to a couple of messages. She said she was completely fine, thanking everyone. This whole drama was easily handled. Millions in red envelopes were distributed, successfully distracting everyone. We know he was the true center of the event, yet completely hidden. Regarding Lucy, he had a clear conscience. The only thing he actually worried about was that this insane event would somehow affect the Miller and Smith families. As for how random people on the internet judged him, changing his mind and bailing on the wedding at the last minute, he was fully prepared to be labeled as greedy and completely heartless. You and I definitely didn't expect Sophia to quietly handle everything for him. The next day, Sophia brought a whole crew to help him move. These nannies were temporarily transferred from the main house. They were absolutely thrilled because they heard our guy was finally moving in with Sophia. The nannies walked in and they went over all the important details. Once packing started, he handed everyone a nice, refreshing drink. Then he grabbed something important and headed out first. The rest would be packed and shipped directly. Sophia led the way. He stayed right by her side, getting the doors and hitting the elevator button. The two of them had a perfect division of labor. the Bentley Sophia normally drove, was parked downstairs. After tossing his suitcase in the trunk, they took turns getting inside the car. Just as they drove out of the residential gate, he watched those gates fade into the distance. Finally, the reality of actually moving out and living with Sophia really hit him. It felt strange, making him want to share it with someone, so he grabbed his phone to bother Wyatt. Bro, I am moving in with Sophia. But right after sending that text, Sophia's ears turned bright red. First, right at that moment, Sophia was casually gripping the steering wheel with one hand. She pulled out a bottle of water and handed it to him. Want some water? He was glued to his screen. Hearing that, his hand totally trembled. In panic, he quickly locked his phone and chugged the water. Sensing her intense gaze, he coughed lightly. Hitting a red light, Sophia tilted her head and gave him this leisurely look. Have you heard the saying? He looked up with completely innocent eyes, and she smirked. People always look busy when they feel awkward. He was totally speechless. Wow, thanks a lot. She just had to expose him. Sipping his drink, he started asking about the rest of the Smith family. Specifically what Mama Smith and the grandparents actually liked. Thinking about how much they adored him, Sophia smiled. Mom loves beauty. You can totally buy skincare stuff. Grandma, she loves reading novels, collecting anime merchandise, phones, and car models. Honestly, bringing a plush doll is a solid choice. Now let us check the flip side. Lucy got detained at the station overnight, finally getting bailated out by assistant Sam. In just one single night, she basically turned into a completely different person. She looked as absolutely wrecked as a puppet. Chloe noticed this massive change, unable to reply immediately. After finally leaving the police station, she was genuinely terrified Lucy might still go after our guy. She had already offended Sophia yesterday. Going after him now would only make things 10 times worse. This was the absolute deadline for the Louis family. 0 mistakes are allowed anymore. Thankfully, Lucy actually seemed to still remember her company. There was a massive corporate mess to clean up. No more tantrums. Driving back to the office, assistant Sam drove in total silence. Lucy just sat motionless in the back seat like a literal wooden statue. Passing right by the Lancaster Company gates, she overheard the receptionist gossiping loudly. Hey, did you hear? Mason and the Smith family just formed a huge marriage alliance. Ridiculous. I also know why. Director Lucy never showed up today. Yesterday, she actually went to confront Director Smith and Mason, demanding answers, and consequently, she was dragged straight to the police station. Now the company management is actually discussing firing her. Chloe's head was spinning with thoughts of getting dismissed. She was genuinely terrified. All right, you and I know the rumor that Lucy might get fired was making massive waves. Chloe didn't even dare look at Lucy's face. Instead, she glanced at Sam for comfort. Sam noticed that desperate glimmer of hope in Chloe's eyes and just nodded helplessly. Mr. Lancaster doesn't just have Lucy, he has other heirs to choose from, like Felix. Honestly, he values Felix way more, even though Lucy had strong backing from the Miller family to build her status and resources. But this exact incident completely changed things. It made Lucy's position incredibly precarious. Assistant Sam just sighed. Helplessly, Sam admitted Lucy had basically brought this entire disaster upon herself. Seeing Chloe looking completely pale, Lucy felt an incredibly heavy burden. She walked helplessly toward the elevator. The lobby receptionists instantly recognized Lucy. Their faces went totally white, stepping aside in dead silence. The second she stepped into the elevator, Lucy stared blankly at her reflection in the mirror. Totally expressionless, but inside, an absolute storm was raging. Finally reaching the president's office, Lucy marched right in and slammed the door shut. Keep your emotions buried, Chloe whispered to Sam. Sister Lucy is furious, just standing around being clueless won't fix anything. Assistant Sam shot her a cold glare. Rhetorical question. So what do you actually want us to do? Chloe nervously chuckled. Or we try talking them down. Sam just rolled his eyes hard at that. Why don't you go? K.H. Lo rubbed her nose helplessly as someone accidentally bumped right into her shoulder. Mason and Sophia are already married, but does the Louiswies family really have a chance? To turn this mess around, Assistant Sam muttered, does that chance even exist? The only real way out is a corporate marriage alliance, although K.H. Lo knew this strategy. She knew it was unreliable. She understood Lucy's fierce temperament way too well. But you and I know marriage wouldn't fix this nightmare, so they got to work. Lucy's whole existence faded away until a sudden call from Guchenlu. When K.H. Lo finally arrived, she saw Lucy clashing with two tycoons. Empty bottles were scattered everywhere on the ground. She had clearly pushed past her drinking limit. K.H. Lo angrily asked the bosses why they were treating her so badly, but those guys just threw back pure sarcastic remarks. They claimed they weren't begging for favors. Instead, it was Lucy who was desperately begging them. To those guys, she wasn't the untouchable CEO she used to be. Facing their cruel ridicule, K.H. Lo just helped Lucy escape, but a heavy, gloomy helplessness completely took over her heart. Lucy, in an absolute daze, was dragged right out of Jichun Tower. She started vomiting violently the second she cleared the exit doors, just a terrifying sea of fiery red blood. K.H. Lo rushed forward, horrified to see all that blood. Realizing what was happening, K.H. Lo's entire mind went completely blank. It felt like a massive bell smashed into her head, leaving a ringing, hissing echo behind. Panic wiped her thoughts completely clean. The hand reaching out to support Lucy was violently trembling. Her voice shook. Sister Lucy, please don't scare me. In the hospital corridor, she nervously peered through the tiny glass window on the emergency room door. Seeing Lucy lying on that hospital bed looking dead pale, K.H. Lo's racing heartbeat finally started to stabilize. The doctor's preliminary diagnosis was clear. She was brought in very quickly, not life-threatening. Lucy always had awful stomach problems. You used to manage her diet before. Honestly, they didn't need to panic about this at all, even when she suffered an attack in the past. She barely ate, just simple things that soothed the stomach and kill the pain, but vomiting blood, you and I can see that's serious. She took out. She stared at her phone, finding his number. But wait, he was already married. Work starts at 8, she muttered, setting the phone down and sliding to the floor. Down the wall she went, completely heartbroken. She and the male lead had known Lucy forever. They didn't just grow up together. Lucy was a true friend who had survived it all. They shared a tough past, but here's the catch, he and she were actual orphans. Lucy, not quite. The rich Lancaster family completely refused to take her back. Her grandfather never even visited, but the Lancasters still sent people every single month. They dropped off fancy food, nice clothes, and snacks. Honestly, it was obvious. Compared to other kids in the orphanage, Lucy lived like absolute royalty. Let's be real, at first, she only hung around Lucy for those extra snacks. But over time, things changed. Lucy became someone truly special to her. She became family, her most important sister. She genuinely thought the three of them. She thought they would never be separated, but we know how these stories go. And now Lucy was suffering from severe stomach pain, and she felt incredibly ashamed. She didn't dare call him, but her mind kept racing. 10 whole years of memories. 10 years of warmth in the cold. How could he just drop all that instantly? She didn't buy it. He couldn't just forget Lucy, even after firmly dragging her. He dragged her straight to the police station yesterday, but looking from another angle. It actually made sense. Turning Lucy in wasn't a punishment at all. It was absolute protection. He took the blame and handled the mess directly. It gave his wife's powerful Smith family an answer, instantly cooling down their massive anger. If he had tried to solve things peacefully, it would have totally failed.